The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
21st, 2021. This is episode 365. And today, 99% Bezos Borg. Basil. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And hope everybody had a good night's sleep, because I sure didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Baby probs?
Yeah, baby was having some issues, crying all night, or not all night, but definitely for a couple hours past bedtime. And, there's not much you can do about it. They just cry, and actually, baby cried himself to sleep last night, so that was he finally got too tired and fell asleep.
Baby's gonna baby.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting some notes in the chat, Gonz, that my levels are a little low.
How's that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But we'll take their word for it. Hopefully that helps everybody. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, but you know what that means, Gonz? Everybody needs to brace themselves because Daddy Gonz is going to be grumpy today, everybody. So keep your voices down. Don't question any weird blogs or anything he brings to the show. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think I have any updates. It's been a quiet couple days. So I think we can just jump right into some of the intro material.
Sure. I'm just trying to boost up your audio here. I'm already 18 decibels above where I should be with you. So OBS is very low. Just in general, we have to use gain plugins to make it audible.
I trust you. I can just whisper if that makes it any louder.
Nah, you're coming in a lot hotter now. It should be
okay.
Should be cleaner. Okay.
Good.
So we're gonna start things off here with a video clip of a super spreader event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Uh-oh.
Do you know what happened in Milwaukee last night?
Nope. Is it sports related?
Yeah. The Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA title, and there's about 20,000 people inside, and 65,000 people were outside watching on the big screen. This is the moment when they found out the Milwaukee Bucks won the title here.
Shot won't go, Tucker the rebound, and that'll do it. It's over. The Bucks have done it. The long wait has ended. After a half century, the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again.
That is a massive crowd.
That is a big crowd.
And people are hugging. I mean, this is like, concert level. 65,000 people squished into an area, all screaming.
Look at all those Trump-supporting MAGA domestic terrorists. Of course, there would be no Democrats in that crowd or, any Fauci lovers. They all stayed home. Well, there you go. I'm sure 99.7% of all cases contracted at the super spreader event will be unvaccinated.
I think what happened was the local news guy, this was hilarious because everybody's, some people have masks on or whatever, but they're kind of, they're hugging each other. All the players are sweaty. Everyone's high-fiving, hugging, jumping around. And the local news guy in Milwaukee had a mask on, and this was his interview with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I would like to see you try to pronounce his last name just based on the spelling. We won't do that. I won't do that to you, Basil.
Thanks.
But this was hilarious, I thought.
Bit of a moment. I wanted to ask you in there.
He's social distancing. For those of you who are just watching, first off, he
just
shows
listening.
up. He's reporting with the mask on, so that's making sure he's let everybody know I got my mask on, and then he's interviewing Giannis from like 15 feet away.
Bit of a moment. I wanted to ask you in there. What would your dad be thinking right now?
Can't hear him. Can't hear Giannis. Can't hear the MVP because you're 15 feet away.
They didn't even have like a microphone walked over to him or anything?
No, it's the funniest thing. It's like, oh, I social distanced. It's hilarious.
It's so funny because Giannis is surrounded by other people. It's just this one reporter trying to ask him questions from literally, it's like 15, 20 feet away.
It's got to be at least 15 feet. He's in the stands. He's like in the seats. And he asks Giannis a question. You can't hear Giannis whatsoever.
What's even the point?
I don't know.
It's a wonderful metaphor for mainstream reporting on a lot of things going on. They're so absorbed in their own fear-mongering that they won't even attempt to get close to the story they're supposed to be reporting on. And, just they're sort of trying to create value without actually creating any value.
Yeah.
So
that was
beautiful
funny.
metaphor there, Guns.
I'm surprised we haven't heard the narrative, the super spreader narrative, and I think it's because Milwaukee at least is Democrat. I didn't double check that, but I think now.
Well, it's the same reason why 20,000 people rioting in the streets in 2020 was not considered a super spreader event. And they did all these bobs and weaves and I don't know, Fauci-esque slithering through the information to say, well, there's 100,000 people in the streets burning the city down, but it's actually safer because it keeps other people in their homes. So this is actually good for the COVID spread. Less people will get sick because of 100,000 people running and screaming and chanting in the streets, because it makes other people stay home for fear of getting beaten up in the streets.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but also it makes total sense depending on where you're looking at this stuff from.
And that's right. Well, speaking of making total sense, Fauci went back to Congress, I guess, yesterday. Was it yesterday?
This took place yesterday. This is a longer clip. The whole thing was like 6.5 minutes. I tried to clip things down, but it's kind of important to hear every aspect of it. I don't want to take stuff away from what Rand Paul was relaying here. So here we go. We can stop.
Saying we're going to play the full 6 minutes?
It's about 5.5 minutes, but we will. We can stop and talk over it.
We can interject.
Oh,
okay.
Basil, you're doing your disappearing act over there. We might need a refresh on the. You're just your googly eyes.
What else do you need, really? If I
eyes.
could just be two pairs of googly eyes, that would be actually the best case scenario for me.
Sure. Okay, so here it is.
Dr. Fauci, as you are aware, it is a crime to lie to Congress. On your last trip to our committee on May 11th, you stated that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And yet, gain-of-function research was done entirely in the Wuhan Institute by Dr. Shi and was funded by the NIH. Dr. Shi credits the NIH and lists the actual number of the grant that she was given by the NIH. In this paper, she took 2 bat coronavirus genes, spike genes, and combined them with a SARS-related backbone to create new viruses that are not found in nature. These lab-created viruses were then shown to replicate in humans. These experiments combine genetic information from different coronaviruses that infect animals but not humans to create novel artificial viruses able to infect human cells. Viruses that in nature only infect animals were manipulated in the Wuhan lab to gain the function of infecting humans.
Do you have any objections so far?
No, that sounds about right.
Yep, sounds pretty straight and narrow. Sounds like some facts are being laid out on the table?
Yeah, this is sort of the basic understanding of gain-of-function research, yeah.
This research fits the definition of the research that the NIH said was subject to the pause in 2014 to 2017, a pause in funding on gain of function. But the NIH failed to recognize this, defines it away, and it never came under any scrutiny. Dr. Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist from Rutgers, described this research in Wuhan as the Wuhan lab used NIH funding to construct novel chimeric SARS-related coronaviruses able to infect human cells and laboratory animals. This is high-risk research that creates new potential pandemic pathogens that exist only in the lab, not in nature. This research matches, these are Dr. E. Bright's words, this research matches, indeed epitomizes, the definition of gain-of-function research, done entirely in Wuhan, for which there was supposed to be a federal pause. Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Your microphone.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. What was? Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans. Right. You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about.
Ooh, he gets all. Yeah. Did you see that head bob in there?
He gets so mad, and he's so triggered mad. Almost immediately. And of course, you know, Anthony Fauci's whole thing is appeal to authority, which is a logical fallacy. And so he doesn't need to prove himself. He doesn't need to say anything of substance. He just keeps repeating, oh, really important, cool people said no, so it's not, you know, the truth creators, the masters of our reality, they say, don't believe your eyes. So therefore, you do not know what you are talking about.
Which is hilarious, too, because this proves to the objective viewer that the science isn't settled. There's no consensus amongst scientists as to, you know, a foundational thing with this or that. It's
just
all
the
sort of
high
opinion.
priests. The high priests of scientism have spoken, and thus it is true.
To humans, right. You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get.
He wants to make it official.
What does that mean? I want to say this officially. Okay, sure.
I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals, and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's send Dr. Fauci.
I have to. Well, now you're getting into something. If the
Did you have something?
Now, he says, now you're getting into something. You know, on one hand, this is entertaining, but that is pretty much just what this is supposed to be, I think. Because basically, Rand Paul is asking him to admit responsibility for destroying the world economy and killing 4 million people.
Yeah, you know,
which is like, of course he's not going to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, well, also, he doesn't, he kind of, I don't know, Rand Paul doesn't do himself any favors here with that accusation just now, what he just said, and then kind of his own backtrack here.
People dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's send Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2. That's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well, wait a minute.
It did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator.
What lie?
Because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It
no
is
one is alleging
molecularly.
that those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That is
you
not
can't
good
get away
save.
from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You're the
Paul's time
one.
is
You're the
expired,
one.
but I will
You're
allow
the
the witness
one.
to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul-
We're
He's
saying
creating
they
his
are
own little,
gain-of-function.
His own little straw man he's setting up there.
Yeah.
Now, Rand did overstep just a little
He
bit
did.
by bringing it up, but he did walk it back. But yeah, that's the problem. Once you do overstep a little bit, that gives something Fauci to latch onto and take control of the narrative.
He's like a
that year.
snake looking for his
Yeah.
prey. You found
Which
it.
you can say a lot of things about Fauci,
Viruses,
but
'cause they were-
that is his main value that he can bring. Yeah, that's his main skill, is he can nab onto a narrative. You make one little slip up, he grabs onto that, changes the entire narrative of the interaction you're having, and so he can slither away into the grass.
Well, I mean, he's trained by the best.
The United States honors Anthony Fauci for his commitment to enabling men, women, and children to live longer, healthier lives.
This is back in the early 2000s. Bush Jr. giving Fauci the medal.
Oh, right.
He is part of the club.
Wow, look how much taller George Bush is.
Yeah.
George Bush Jr. is like 8 inches taller than Fauci. Fauci has got to be a tiny man.
They said he was 5'6" or 5'7" or something. I don't know. I feel like he
so
must be a little
he's
shorter
not
than that.
big.
Yeah. Well, I would be eye to eye with him, and I'd hit him with a left hook.
You could take him.
Yeah.
Gons, you can't threaten Anthony Fauci with violence on the show. What are you doing?
Well,
He's
be
talking
virtual.
Metaphorically.
Metaphorically.
Rhetorically, in a rap battle. Gons would.
Rhetorical left hook. My Alex Jones. Metaphorically, of course. Okay, let's finish this clip here.
Animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And you
admit the truth.
And you
Senator
implying.
Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come before this committee to respond.
And you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have
And
been.
if anybody
And it
is
could have been.
lying
Shaking.
here, Senator, it is you.
Yeah. He is getting so worked
getting
up.
so mad.
He's kind of, when you get like really worked up and you can't quite catch your breath and you kind of start twitching a little bit. That's exactly what's happening to him. Wow.
Well, one of the things in debate that gets called out is ad hominems. And if you're talking about who pulled the ad hominem card, that was Fauci.
Yeah,
and away. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm officially you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, well, that's what they like to do. Biden was the ad hominem king in the debates with Trump, calling him a clown, telling him to shut up and things.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable president, folks.
I think the best thing we got out of this is a little ISO.
You do not know what you are talking about.
Fantastic. Thank you, Fauci. We add that to the list.
Science is truth.
It's great.
Well, on top, just to build on this here, there was this fun little article that came out again from the bastion of serious news reporting, Vanity Fair, which we've sort of noted over the years has transformed from, what Vanity Fair used to be, which is like a style and lifestyle and sort of bougie magazine. And they've transitioned into trying to be hard-hitting, important news. And we have this headline from Vanity Fair now that says, Anthony Fauci tells anti-vaxxers to sit down and STFU as COVID cases surge. Wow.
Do you think anybody listening doesn't know what STFU means or stands for?
Well, I'll just say it's an acronym for "Shut the F Up" is what that means. STFU. Well, so classy headline.
Did he really say that? Fauci?
No, he didn't actually say that. This is
false, fake news.
This is more image crafting around the mythos that they have created for Fauci, as sort of, again, fits in sort of with what you were pointing out in the video, where, he's he's so sassy. He's not afraid to tell it how it is and tell the, anti-vaxxers that they need to sit down and shut up. I don't know if we necessarily need to read
this
through the whole
is this
thing.
is a lefty. This is like a perfectly crafted lefty
post.
Yes.
Yeah,
it might be worth going through a little bit of it.
I'll go
just
through
to get
a couple
feel.
paragraphs. One of the most frustrating aspects of many conservatives is refusal to follow the advice of health experts when it comes to COVID-19 is that they don't want to wear masks or social distance. Sorry, I got caught up in one of the most frustrating aspects of many conservatives' refusal to follow the advice of health experts when it comes to COVID-19 is that they don't want to wear masks or social distance. They're demanding that life go back to normal, and yet they won't do the most important thing when it comes to putting the pandemic behind us, i.e., get the dang vaccine. I'm going to self-censor the curse words in this thing because they do not hold back. So you'll have to excuse Anthony Fauci and the rest of the Joe Biden administration if they're at the end of their ropes, peaked with what we would never dare call, but someone slightly less decorous might, these selfish mother effing idiots. Whoa! Vanity Fair!
Just going for it, really.
What a respectable institution here.
It's funny because we've watched them go from like, oh yes, wear a mask, social distance, to now they're like, you effers.
Yes, and I have a follow-up for this. Okay, good. So let's go a couple more paragraphs here just to get. It's really just a tone article. There's no good info substance in it. Yeah. Appearing on CNN on Saturday, one day after Biden said social media companies like Facebook are killing people by allowing vaccine misinformation to spread, a critique he later clarified by saying he meant that about a dozen of Facebook's users are killing people with misinformation. Fauci said if the world had had to deal with these anti-science pundits in years past, it never would have made it out alive. Asked by Jim Acosta if he thought, quote, we could have defeated the measles or eradicated polio if you had Fox News night after night, warning people about these vaccines issues that are just bunk, Fauci responded, quote, we probably would still have smallpox and we probably would still have polio in this country if we had the kind of false information that's being spread now. Now, I didn't bring the source for this because it's kind of common knowledge that even during smallpox vaccination and measles vaccination, in fact, the entire history of vaccination has always been contentious. The thoughts that like vaccines have some serious side effects or potential dangers has always been a thing. In fact, you can read old newspapers from like the early 1900s and even in the late 1800s, about how, vaccines are dangerous and how there's a mobilized campaign against the dangers of vaccine. This is nothing new. So anywho, they're just trying to pick on people today. Fauci, of course, has been the right's arch nemesis since the very start of the pandemic, thanks to the fact that he represents all things they despise. Science, multiple degrees. They just science, multiple degrees. I guess
these are things. The right despises science, despises multiple degrees.
Look, if you're on the right, you're okay with 1 degree. But as soon as somebody has multiple degrees, we just hate it when people have multiple degrees.
We can't even give you a second degree unless you decide to be a Democrat and a left-wing person.
Yeah.
You must pledge.
It continues, and not only told people what to do in the midst of global health crisis, but displayed a treasonous level of disrespect. Wow. Treasonous level of disrespect by not blindly agreeing with every single thing Donald Trump said about the virus. Never once telling reporters, quote, actually, I think injecting bleach into your veins is a great idea, and I'm personally going to try it tonight. All of which would just be another day in GOP crazy town, if not for the fact that literal lives are at stake, which of course they are. So yeah, again, it goes back to the bleach thing. Look, Donald Trump never said to inject bleach into your body, but of course the lie has been told so many times now that it's just like an apparent reality, I guess, is what they want us to think. And it goes on and on and on. It's just this sort of, it's a literal rage post is what it is.
Let me read this sentence here. According to conservatives, vaccines are for suckers, and anyone trying to convince you otherwise is a Nazi, which, among other things, gives Nazis a lot of credit.
Yeah, right. This is written by Bess Levin. She
should go on vacation.
Yeah, she needs a vacay. So there you go. That's Vanity Fair. Rage post by Bess Levin, filled with misinformation and lies about conservatives. But, of course, nobody will ever point that out. But the point is that things are starting to turn, and we've been identifying this for a couple weeks now. Just to review the cycles that we've been seeing happening over the year and a half is... at first Republicans are anti-vax, and these dang Republicans and their beloved Trump and yada yada yada, and then they sort of switch tone, which is, okay, we can't be mean to people who don't have the vaccine, especially because we just discovered with a Pew poll that more anti-vaxxers are Democrats than Republicans. But we don't need to talk about that too much. We'll start calling them vaccine hesitant, and it's okay. We'll give them some prizes. We'll give them cheeseburgers and donuts and beer and lotto tickets, and we'll just be nice to them, and they'll all get vaxxed. And they're not getting enough vaccines. July 4th is coming around, and Biden looks like a fool, so now we got to get mad at the vaccine hesitant again. And I want to point something out, Gons. And that is this graph here from therapistaid.com.
Yeah, your link was a little weird. I had to get the archive version of the document here, but we got it.
It came up fine for me, but good, we got it. And this is something called the cycle of abuse. Now we've used several different psychiatric graphs and charts and definitions of things to really track how the government in general, but also other organizations, they treat the public like a toxic relationship. They're a bad boyfriend or an abusive girlfriend. And that's why I brought this chart here called the cycle of abuse. And the cycle of abuse comes like this. First, there's the tension building stage, and it says stress begins to grow from the pressures of daily life or other points of conflict. The victim may attempt to reduce tension by complying with the abuser. And I think there's a certain group of, vaccinated people, or maybe not vaccinated, but just the general like, tensions are building, case numbers are rising. Oh, the rhetoric gets more fiery and angry. Then it moves on to the next stage, which is abusive incident. Let me know if any of this sounds familiar. Verbal, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse occurs. This includes anger, intimidation, threats, and other forms of abuse.
You do not know what you are talking about.
Yes, and the recent identification of non-vaxxed persons as the disease itself, vermin, and uncaring, unfeeling individuals who are greedy and just care about themselves. We've really moved into this verbal and emotional abuse. And physical abuse probably doesn't apply quite yet. But, remember, this all happens in cycles. And anybody who's been in a toxic relationship or known somebody who's been in a toxic relationship, it starts with the verbal and emotional before it gets more intense. But then, Gons, after the abusive incident, the abusive phase, then it goes into the honeymoon phase, where the abuser apologizes, shows remorse, and then often begs for forgiveness. They may shower the victim with love and affection, or cheeseburgers, or beer, or donuts, or lotto tickets, or trucks, or guns, or whatever, depending on the state you're in. $1 million. And promise that the abuse will never happen again. We will never have vaccine passports. We're never going to do any of those things. Then comes a time of calm here. The relationship enters a period of calm where the abuser stops or slows. The abuser may continue to ask for forgiveness or make positive gestures, but these tend to reduce in sincerity over time. And I think the calm phase just ended on the 4th of July when Biden didn't hit his target. And I believe we are in the later stages of a tension building phase. Now, remember, this is not one big, long timeline. This is a cycle. And I think if you really think back, we've seen this cycle go through, I would say, at least twice, and maybe we're in our third cycle right now of this tension building phase where the stress begins to grow or the case numbers begin to grow and the pressures of daily life, the hospital system being having more people and other points of conflict like the vaccine. People aren't getting the vaccine. The victim may attempt to reduce tension by complying with the abuser. That can take many forms. But I think we are moving towards very rapidly this abusive incident. We may even be in the beginning stages of another abusive incident, as we've seen with the verbal and emotional abuse that are being put on unvaccinated individuals.
You want to know, I have this little graph thing here. Something very strange. I was looking at the death count, the coronavirus statistics death count in California. It's my state here, my home state. And talk about cycles. It was consistently going down through March and April and May, kind of flattened out. And then in June, starting at June 14th, one death. For let's see how long.
Where?
10 days. California. All of California. One death between
10 days.
Between the 14th and the 28th ish. Yeah, the 28th. So 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks of one death. And then it starts creeping up again. And now we're at 20.
Yeah.
It's just very strange. It's strange to see almost zero deaths for 2 weeks or one, I guess.
I know. Well, and that's how a lot of these graphs are looking. I did, after last episode's live graph debacle, I went and looked at some other graphs. The I didn't put it in there, but was looking at the CDC, not the CDC, the Mayo Clinic graphs for Missouri, who is one of those states that's being extra picked on right now for having low vaccination rates. And first of all, they're adjusting all these numbers, and it's so sketchy because they keep saying like the adjusted amount, you know, we adjusted the amount. Oh, it's a Washington Post article. The Washington Post adjusted the amount to, it's like, okay, why are you adjusting the amount? You're not doing like giving your math or your sources on these adjusted amounts. You're just adjusting amounts. Okay, well, great, sure. But, and you know, there's a little trick in graph making where you change the, I don't know the official term for it. Maybe I should.
The scale.
learn.
It's like the scale.
The scale. That's what it is. Yeah. So they'll change the scale, and that's how you can use the exact same numbers, but get really big, you know, visual bars. Yeah. Really big swings.
Look at this spike. But yeah,
right.
you got a logarithmic scale, so it looks way more intense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with the, I believe it was Missouri they were going through, and they're making a big point about how it's gone from 30 people per 100,000 who are catching COVID, and now it's 50 people per 100,000. And they have a scale on one side of the graph. And, you know, from 30 to 50 on a scale of 100,000, like it should be this tiny little tick up, you know, only 20. But it's like 30 is at the bottom. And they're like, look, here we are at 30. And here's the 50. And the line just shoots all the way up to the top of the graph. It makes it look very scary. It's like, okay, I don't know if I want your adjusted numbers, Washington Post, but thank you for trying. Anyways, so the long and short of it is the cycles of abuse continue, and it pops up in so many forms. But yeah, the way that the the government and the media are putting the public through these cycles of abuse in really textbook, I mean, literal textbook definitions of an abusive relationship is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's on accident. I think it's on purpose. I mean, that's the cycle of abuse that's used for control and intimidation within interpersonal relationships. Unfortunately, too many you know, marriages and relationships have that kind of cycle. But it works. You know, people stay in those things precisely because of honeymoon phases and the calm and things like that. It's very manipulative.
Well, we need to circle back to the show.
Yeah, we should probably start the show. Are you ready?
More on the WACCINE and the virus and all that to come. But for now, let's go into the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okie dokie, folks. Now that we're ready to begin the program, we're going to talk a little bit about Flippy. If you're new to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world, and now there's nothing we can do about it. This one is coming from Agg-Net.com. Checking in with the farmers and other backbone industries of America here. The headline is Largest Brokk Demolition Robot Arrives in North America. Sounds like the headline at the beginning of like a robot apocalypse movie, like arriving in North America, the largest Brokk Demolition. It's like a Godzilla movie, you know, where a demolition bot is rising out of the sea. But it goes like this. New York-based Brokk Demolition have taken delivery of North America's biggest remote-controlled demolition bot, the Brokk 800S. The 11-ton machine provides a 10-meter reach, and according to Brokk, the industry-leading power-to-weight ratio makes the Brokk 800S suited to heavy-duty demolition applications. Recognizing the need for a higher level of power in demolition, 800S features Brokk's 3-part arm, which provides maneuverability and large attachment capacity for heavy-duty demolition. The 800S can be equipped with a 1,200-kilogram Epiroc MB 1200 breaker. Whoa. The 800S demolition bot can also be used with concrete crushers, drum cutters, grapples, buckets, drilling equipment, and metal shears for maximum application flexibility. Lars Lindgren, president of Brokk, said, quote, "We're excited to work with Brokk Demolition to showcase the safety and efficacy of one of our heaviest hitting demolition robots for the North American market." Quote, "Brokk has a long history of bringing the right tools to the job site for optimal safety and efficiency in every project they take on. The unmatched power-to-weight ratio of the 800S opens up new opportunities for heavy-duty demolition in confined spaces in urban areas." Watch out, confined spaces in urban areas. Brokk is coming for you. Brokk 800S is the demolition company's 7th remote-controlled robot, as Mark Federico, owner of Brokk Demolition, commented, quote, "Our Brokk robots provide a lot of power in a small package, which allows us to bring a hard-hitting machine into a tight space." The range of attachments also increases our versatility to tackle a variety of specialty demolition projects. So there you go, Guns. Explicitly, the robot arms are coming to destroy our cities and our beautiful buildings in tight spaces.
I was looking for a clip or footage of this thing, and I had to go to the Brokk website to find it. And they have a video section, and they have the breaking face Brokk 800 LKAB video here if you want to take a peek here.
Let's get some footage on this sucker. Let's get you have to announce it because I have a lag on my stream.
Sure, it's just Come on, put some gusto into it.
The
arm is in like a concrete.
No, we've got the 800S Brokk Demolition arm in a tight space, just slithering on into those confined urban areas and destroying the cement things. Look at him go. He's so strong, so powerful. Brokk is here to destroy everything you love.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that impressive to watch. It's a 6-minute video of Brokk going at it on the wall, just breaking it down. But
it's really impressive. You're doing a great job, big, strong Brokk. You're my big, strong boy, Brokk, just coming in, smashing all these human things that need destroying. Now, I will say this robotic arm is remote controlled, is not quite autonomous yet, and they didn't really address the fact that it's not autonomous within the article. But I think maybe it's I have to assume that Brokk Demolition tried their hand at some autonomous destruction robots, and the risks are just too high.
They can't equip the AI with the demolition Brokk.
Once it gets the bloodlust of destroying puny human buildings, it's there's no stopping it. Have you ever done any demolition, like remodeled something and taken a sledgehammer to a wall or two?
Oh yeah. I've done stuff like that, but
it's very satisfying.
Yeah,
you get the adrenaline pumping. Yeah, once you're done destroying whatever you're trying to destroy, you kind of sit back and you say, okay, well, is there anything else that I can smash with this hammer right now? I don't know if I'm quite done. I'm not sated. And I think, if you put Brokk on an autonomous system, there's a big risk to letting one of these things loose in the wild.
Yeah.
So that being said, usually the Flippy update has an angle where it's like, okay, how does this fit into the roboticization of the workforce, the destruction of human fulfillment in work? This, I want to give shout outs to the gamer kids, because this thing is remote controlled. And in a world where your most valuable skill is using a PS4 controller, I think there's some viable career paths in remote controlled demolition robots. I might have to look into this.
Well, they can certainly test their skills with some kind of simulation, or just go out into the field and give it a run.
Yeah, you got to do it in the real world, baby. You got to feel the power of Brokk 800S.
Yeah, but that idea, you brought to mind some like old, the home network. What is it called? HGTV.
Yep.
It's back in the day. I don't have it anymore, but they have those like flip shows where they do that, where they go in there and they demo a certain location of the house and they redo it. Mm-hmm. And it's always funny because when they do the demo, they get the sledgehammer, they start going at it. And that's when you realize, oh, these people have massive issues. Look at them.
Yes, there's
look at them. And
there's some pent-up rage behind the real estate brothers.
And if you take that to this Brokk 800, that might not be good. If some guy is like raging and he's got control, that's even worse. That might be worse than an AI.
Yeah, you're going to need a psychiatric evaluation and a background check before they put you hand you the controller. I just love the name Brokk too. I mean, is there any better name to give a giant demolition robot arm? There isn't. Slap a pair of googly eyes on that sucker, Brokk is going to be your new best friend.
Yep. All right, well, we're gonna report on Bezos here.
Space. Wanna go to space?
We're gonna report on Bezos here, as if nobody has been doing that the past 2 days.
I know, that's why. I did have a bunch of clips to play, but instead of playing multiple clips, I just made one montage of the whole event here. And by the way, I had a tweet that I sent out yesterday with a picture of the Blue Origin New Shepard, is that what it was called?
Yes.
The name of the rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And my caption, which people picked up on, was Nimrod's missing piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the IYKYK, that if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, go read the history of what happened to Nimrod / Osiris in his body. And ISIS looking for his body parts and couldn't find one of the body parts, and they just artificially made one.
Well, and the connection with when ISIS put Osiris back together, that only then is when he became the god of the underworld. He became an astrological god through the magic of Isis, and the reunification of Osiris's missing piece, and yes, the shape of Jeff Bezos's very cool rocket, going to the stars, is quite the interesting mythological and occult representation of Osiris's missing piece being reunited with the astrological god of the underworld.
Yeah, and the child that they birthed was Horus.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like Bezos's Horus moment.
Ooh.
But okay, here we go. Here's some stuff that went down. The rocket shooting up. Oh, there it goes. Really loud. Big explosion.
Go, Jeff. Go, Mark. Go, Wally. Go, Oliver. You are going to space.
Go,
Jeff.
Go, Jeff. Go.
This is so. I was looking for footage from inside the tip there.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I can find was somebody filming like a big screen. I don't know if it's at the headquarters or where they launched, or I don't know where this is from, but it's weird because it's just like a phone recording of a screen. So I don't know if there was you had to pay for it to watch it. I don't know, but this is some of the stuff.
You couldn't find any better footage?
Yeah, I couldn't find the actual footage of them from within the capsule. It was all secondhand, like somebody shooting a giant screen. But here's so there's an audience. You'll hear an audience kind of reacting to everything, and some of the stuff that went down when they went to zero gravity.
Space. Is it everything you thought it would be? Dude, look. Oliver. The blackness of space.
The blackness of space. Bezos is really into it.
He's not wearing his cowboy hat. I really wish that they would have let him bring his cowboy hat to space.
He did bring it. He's not wearing
space?
it. Yes. He does have it because when he
I
comes
know he
out,
wore it afterwards.
Well, when he comes out of the capsule, he's wearing it. So he must have had it.
Oh my gosh, what a doofus. What is he doing? I can't stand that hat. Look, I love cowboy hats. I love wearing them, but I don't like Bezos wearing them.
It's funny.
He's literally only doing it so he can be a space cowboy.
Yeah, speaking of cowboy hats, I went to a store last weekend with the family and I put on a cowboy. I've never really put on a cowboy hat. And I put on a nice cowboy hat and I'm like, I don't look too bad in a cowboy hat.
Japanese cowboy.
Yeah, it was pretty. I might get it just to wear it on. I can't because the headphones. But
what a fun steampunk. If we did a graphic novel about Gon's the cowboy samurai.
They already kind of space cowboys.
I'm sure somebody's done it. No, cowboy samurai. You still got the katana.
And Cowboy Bebop do that sort of
instead of the rice. A little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, now I want to watch Cowboy Bebop again. All right, keep going. What do we got here?
In the background, you can see the alleged Earth there in space. There's some more stuff. Oh, by the way, I don't know that this was an ad placement, but might as well be.
Here,
Tossing balls.
You just have to wait for it. Who wants a Skittle?
Skittles.
Who wants a Skittle?
Skittles gets free advertisement in space.
Yeah.
And there's footage of them tossing the Skittles across and Bezos catching, or he misses the first time, he gets it the second time.
So good.
So good.
The
Skittles so good up in space.
I love Skittles. They give me all the sugary energy I need to be a space cowboy. Skittles. Taste the rainbow.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you got the tagline too? Great.
Yep.
And we're not getting paid.
Secretly, I have a personal sponsorship with Skittles. Sorry.
This is incredible. I cannot.
All right, so that's it. That's it was really bad audio, real bad footage. It was not good. Not good. Okay, so this is them after they, parachuted back down to Earth in the tip. And then they're, it's just whatever. They're just them coming out of the capsule, and there's your cowboy hat. Oh my God!
Now.
Oh, this is Bezos after they did a press conference. It aired on C-SPAN.
There's a lot of people wearing cowboy hats, and they're all the exact same color. It's like Bezos handed out cowboy hats to the crowd.
You get a hat and you get a hat. Okay, so this is Bezos talking about the experience up there.
Now on how it felt. Oh my God!
Oh my gosh.
My expectations were high and they were dramatically exceeded. We were talking about this a little bit in the car ride on the way back, and I don't know, the zero G piece may have been one of the biggest surprises because it felt so normal. It felt so almost like we were, as humans, evolved to be in that environment, which I know is impossible. But it felt so serene and peaceful, and the floating. It's actually much nicer than being in full one gravity. It's a very pleasurable experience, just from just the way it feels, the tactfulness of it.
The tacticalness of being weightless. Yeah,
I think it's tactful. Yeah,
I've spent a lot of time in water as a swimmer, and I think, don't they do space, quote unquote, training in water?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if he's been in a pool, he probably kind of knows what it feels. I mean, you can breathe. That's the only difference, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't think it's.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's great. I don't need the.
But here's the thing. The reason why I stopped it here, and I'll let him finish, is because it wouldn't be Bezos wouldn't be a world elite if it wasn't for the climate change message as the final part of his little take on his experience.
The most profound piece of it for me was looking out at the Earth and looking at the Earth's atmosphere. Every astronaut, everybody who's been up into space, they say this, that it changes them, and they look at it and they're kind of amazed and awestruck by the Earth and its beauty, but also by its fragility. And I can vouch for that. When I look out, when we're sitting in this room and when we're driving our cars and we're moving around the planet in our normal ways, the atmosphere is so gigantic. We're these tiny little things, and the planet, the atmosphere is so big. But when you get up above it, what you see is it's actually incredibly thin. It's this tiny little fragile thing. And as we move about the planet, we're damaging it. And, so that is, that's a very profound, it's one.
How much of his company is damaging it then? With all his Amazon factories and all the cars moving around, and he's getting ready to.
This will be the interesting part about it, because look, I have so many critiques of the entire billionaire space race thing, and so do other people, and it's an easy thing to critique. But he is playing into, again, this is not original, as he said himself. Every person who goes to space is just blah 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 hit with the blah 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 blah, and it will be interesting to see if Bezos, leader of the most polluting company, or at least consumer access company.
Yeah.
Not like chemical plants or something, but if he does anything about it, if he comes down and he's like, okay, now I change everything. I've changed my life. I'm a new man, and nothing matters except for protecting our beautiful Earth. Then it's like, okay, all right, let's see. Maybe something actually changed. But we know that's not the case. We know this whole thing is just a PR thing and whatever, even if he's accomplishing his boyhood dreams. Yeah. There will be no change.
That's a very profound. It's one thing to recognize that intellectually. It's another thing to actually see with your own eyes how fragile it really is, and that was amazing.
It was amazing. It's amazing. Amazing is a weird way to put that. It was amazing to see how fragile it is. I mean, I could just destroy it at any moment.
No, that is kind of strange.
I felt so powerful. I'm gonna destroy this beautiful little Earth.
So Bezos versus Branson so far. Who are you picking?
For what?
For just who wins?
For lamest. They're both. See, that's the problem. That's the other problem I'm having. They're just both so lame. I thought that Richard Branson was cooler, at least I don't know, just in a cool guy way. But after his lame speech, both of these guys are complete nerds. I don't like them.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with nerds.
No, I mean, okay, yeah, you're right. That was the wrong word. Nerds are cool. These guys are not cool. They're just dopes, I guess. That's what they've really shown, is that they're just complete dopes.
I give a little bit more to Branson for trying a speech. Bezos didn't even try. He was like, oh, Skittles, oh, it was just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But keeping in mind that this is all a business advertisement for their, space, what is it, consumer space trips or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The real competition will begin later in the year when people will start bidding to actually, be on these flights or whatever. So that's all it is, really. And
so I would like to enlist the help of the chat room right now. We've got several hundred. What are we looking at? Over 600 people tuned in right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the brand of Jeff Bezos's cowboy hat. And it has led me down a beautiful rabbit trail of people making commentary on Jeff Bezos's style over the years. In 2018, there's this New York Times article.
I saw the
Jeff
sequence.
Bezos, style icon. The Amazon chief executive has quietly been grooming a new image to go to his new status as rocket scientist, richest man in the world, and potential Washington big shot. This was in 2018, so I guess they were thinking there would be some, political stuff there. And then I found this blog. Let's see, fashion and celebrity style news. Tia Ano. It's a WordPress site, and Tiano wrote in July 20. Oh my gosh, today Jeff Bezos wore a cowboy hat into space. And I just wanted to read this one paragraph. We may never know what compelled this particular sartorial choice by Bezos, referring to his hat, who does not normally wear any sort of Western wear. Is it a reference to a new era of space as an American frontier, a wild west of the heavens, or perhaps an homage to the West Texas desert where the launch took place? Either way, the hat and boots feel like a strange appeal to the American everyman, which by almost all measures, financial and otherwise, Bezos is not. The incongruity does lend itself nicely, however, to a general air of out-of-touch villainy. And I think that was just really well done there. Tia Ano, fashion and celebrity style news.
I took a picture of the cowboy hat that I almost bought. It's a Stetson, and I have it here. I'll show you. It was a black one. It's got the leather twirls.
Yeah,
around
Stetson's
the edges.
Good.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular brand, I guess. But
well, that's what I'm assuming that Jeff is wearing a Stetson here. But it's got I will say. His hat's got a nice shape to it. That's kind of why I was curious what it was. So if anybody out there can get me the brand and the model of Jeff Bezos's hat, I'm sort of compelled to now try to steal it from him and make it my cool new hat. So, all right.
Well, part of it, the news after this event was reported on Yahoo Finance. Space tourism tax. Congressman announces new plan after Blue Origin launch. And it says here, shortly after Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man, completed his first space flight, Representative Earl Blumenauer, a Democrat from Oregon, announced he's working on a plan for a new tax targeting space tourism. This is, I got to give this guy credit, okay, because his acronym is amazing. The Securing Protections Against Carbon Emissions Space Tax Act.
Yep, there it is.
Well done.
They brought this against themselves.
Yes, but he did a good job with the acronym. Space Tax Act would create new excise taxes on commercial space flights with human passengers for non-research purposes. Quote, space exploration isn't a tax-free holiday for the wealthy. Just as normal Americans pay taxes when they buy airline tickets, billionaires who fly into space to produce nothing of scientific value should do the same, and then some, said Blumenauer in a statement. Quote, I'm not opposed to this type of space innovation. However, things that are done purely for tourism or entertainment and that don't have any scientific purpose should in turn support the public good. Blumenauer noted he's worried about the environmental impact of launching humans into space for tourism or entertainment purposes. And he just goes on and on here. But there it is. That's convenient.
Yeah.
And well placed. Like the timing of it,
really
everything.
Good timing.
Just very well done.
Yeah, tax him. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either. Yeah.
I mean, should. I mean, they should pay a lot more tax than they do. But yeah, if the space thing finally gets it, great.
Can somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson go up there and be like, I was looking for the aliens?
Aliens?
It's a scientific endeavor. Do not tax me with your space tax. Can he say that?
Yeah, he can say that.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I found an Inside Hook
article. You're still looking for the hat.
Says here, want to be a space cowboy like Jeff Bezos? Get one of these hats.
Oh, see, it's an advertising. He knew what he was doing.
It doesn't look like the one that he is wearing.
Of course it doesn't. It's like when you get a Darth Vader mask and it's plastic and it doesn't look right.
No, they are okay. All right, they are Stetson. They're all Stetson here. All right. Okay, what do we have next?
Vaccines.
Back. I'm lost. Let's talk about vaccines.
Vaccine.
A pandemic special.
Got a clip?
We do have a clip. This is an Australian health administrator or leader of some kind. I forget her name. I had it on me, but it's okay. Listen to what she says here to the people of Australia.
Whilst it is in human nature to engage in conversation with others, to be friendly, unfortunately, this is not the time to do that. So even if you run into your next door neighbour in the shopping centre, in the Coles, whilst you're at Coles or Woolworths or Aldi or any other grocery shop, don't start up a conversation. Now is the time for minimising your interactions with others. Even if you've got a mask, do not think that affords total protection. We want to be absolutely sure that as we go about our daily lives, we do not come into contact with anyone else that would pose a risk.
Don't talk to your neighbor, Basil.
It's in our nature to be friendly. Talk to your friends, your neighbors at the Aldis. No.
Don't talk to them.
Yeah, again, it takes the what is it? The isolation to the next level where, even though you're allowed to go out to the grocery store, it really is social isolation. You're alone in a crowd. Don't talk to your neighbors. Don't look at them. Don't even think about them. They're not important. The only thing important is you and your survival.
I know, they're turning everybody into like a main character of a TV show.
It's really sick.
And it's fascinating too, because early, when everything started locking down, we were talking about, hey, shouldn't it be physical distancing, not social distancing? But now it makes sense. It's like, they don't even want us talking to each other. It really is social distancing.
Yeah.
And it's
sick. I'm so sorry, Aussies.
I know.
Is such a bummer.
Things are much better here in the States, and this is a good comparison, a good side-by-side comparison of propaganda tactics and I guess you can call it regional tailoring of the message. So over here in Australia, it's don't talk to your neighbors. Here in the States, Kamala Harris.
The act of getting vaccinated, the act of administering the vaccinations, well, these acts are the very essence of what the Bible and so many faiths tell us about the importance of our role and our power when we say love thy neighbor. And I truly believe in the power of that.
Wow.
Disgusting.
Yeah, the same. I mean, I will say it's no worse than any other politician trying to call on the Bible to make a point for their own weird, twisted political views. But yeah, now that she's trying really hard, and I don't know if it's landing, especially because it goes against what if we are to believe the numbers of 99% of people dying of COVID are unvaccinated, which means with their numbers, if their numbers are to be believed, that people with the vaccine are fine. So what is this whole thing where you get the vaccine for other people? You're obviously getting it for yourself. Because if getting the vaccine protected other people, then why are other people dying of COVID and the vaccinated are fine? They can't have it both ways, and they really are trying to make it so.
People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes.
If the vaccine protected other people from COVID, then why are all the other people dying? It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And I think this is an attempt to appeal to evangelical Christians and the conservative right wing.
Oh yeah, it's just manipulation. This is the definition of spiritual manipulation.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of which, the Renz lawsuit that we went down or talked about last episode, Renz-Law.com published the official injunction documents. Do you want to read the Jane Doe document there that they have posted?
Yeah, sure. Let me get over there.
So this is the 45K death count from COVID shot lawsuit.
Right. So this is the lawsuit we talked about in the last episode that everybody is getting all. You know what this should have been? This should have been a debunker bunker.
Ooh, okay. All right. Let me see if I have that jingle. I should nearby. There it is.
Get to the bunker!
The debunker bunker.
Right. So we talked about this lawsuit last episode and just how sort of impotent it seemed. And it's getting a lot of attention on social media, but they put out no sources, no information. It's just people. It's just like a couple of guys at a conference doing a selfie video, trying to get people all hyped up. And this particular team does not have a good track record with these lawsuits. But it's a good way to collect donations. I mean, if you go to this RenzLaw.com, the first thing that happens is a donate to freedom pop-up comes up. And so I'm sure they're making $1 million on this. But we have the filing here, the district court for the Northern District of Alabama, America's Frontline Doctors et al. Versus Xavier Becerra, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And their whole lawsuit hinged around an anonymous whistleblower from, what was it, the CDC?
Yeah.
An anonymous whistleblower from the CDC, Jane Doe, who was going to blow the lid off this whole thing and clinch this lawsuit for him. Well, here we got it. We got the legal filing, the declaration of Jane Doe, and it goes like this. Declaration of Jane Doe. Pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1746, Jane Doe hereby declares, I am fully competent to make this declaration, and I have personal knowledge of the facts stated in this declaration. This declaration is submitted in support of legal actions to revoke the emergency use authorization for COVID-19 injections and in support of a preliminary injunction to immediately block the emergency use of authorization for COVID-19 injections. I am a computer programmer with subject matter expertise in the healthcare data analytics field, an honor that allows me access to Medicare and Medicaid data maintained by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. I earned a Bachelor's of Science degree, a BS degree, in mathematics, and have over the last 25 years developed over 100 distinct healthcare fraud detection algorithms, both in the public and private sector. It has been my mission to protect federal tax dollars by preventing and detecting healthcare fraud, a process which leads to both recovery of overpayments and law enforcement leads. A large part of what I do is focused on the quality of care for the beneficiary. For example, I identify providers who prescribe an egregious amount of opioids to patients with a history of overdosing. Instead of titrating the patient off of opioids, they prescribe more, oftentimes leading to patient death. When the COVID-19 vaccine clearly, now it just kind of swoops into another thing, but I do want to comment there. This is true. Probably this person does work in the health data industry. I have no reason to believe that they didn't create algorithms. I think putting in the little part about the opioid, he's or she rather is protecting America from opioid epidemics. I don't know necessarily how that is legally relevant in a case like this. And not for nothing, that's the kind of stuff that gets cases thrown out when they're just packed full with stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the legal complaint. But okay, doesn't matter. Fine. When the COVID-19 vaccine clearly became associated with patient death and harm, I was naturally inclined to investigate the matter. Now it goes into a block quote, which I'm no legal expert. I don't know why it goes into a block quote, but here's what it reads. It is my professional estimate that VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System database, while extremely useful, is underreported by a conservative factor of at least 5. On July 9th, 2021, there were 9,048 deaths reported in VAERS. I verified these numbers by collating all of the data from VAERS myself, not relying on a third party to report them. In tandem, I queried data from CMS medical claims with regard to vaccines and patient deaths, and have assessed that the deaths occurring within 3 days of vaccination are higher than those reported in VAERS by a factor of at least 5. This would indicate the true number of vaccine-related deaths was at least 45,000. Put in perspective, the swine flu vaccine was taken off the market, which only resulted in 53 deaths. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct. Executed on July 13th. That is the end of the entire document.
Well, no, they have a 45-page document.
No, I'm talking about the declaration from Jen Doe.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the end of the declaration of Jen Doe. And look, we know that the VAERS is underreported. In 2011 or 13 or something, yeah. Harvard, a research team from Harvard went in and checked out the VAERS database and found that it was probably 1% of all reportable incidences. We know that VAERS is not reporting everything. And this entire, remember the video we played on last episode where those two guys are all giddy and they're talking about their lawsuit. They went on and said there's 11 reporting systems and which we had never heard of. We don't know what these 11 things are. They didn't reference any of them. They just said there's 11 reporting systems and there's 45,000 people who've died. Well, that doesn't seem to be the evidence being presented in the lawsuit.
Yeah, where did they even get that 11 number?
I don't know. And it might be true. I mean, sure, there probably is other things, but the 45,000 is not numbers taken from 11 separate reporting systems. It's taken from VAERS and is an estimate by somebody who knows
math.
Computers, right? They're just saying, oh, it's more.
Oh, not even computers. It's math. It's just they got the 9,000 reported VAERS deaths, and they just said, oh, there's at least a factor of 5. 5 times 9,000 is 45,000. That's all it is. It's not. I don't know. It's very
There's
weak.
no actual evidence. It's just a person who says, and I have no reason to believe that they don't have the expertise that they do, but they're not saying anything new. In fact, they're saying a very conservative estimate of what a team from Harvard already found 10 years ago.
It's interesting. They actually mentioned that in this document. A 2011 report by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare for DHHS stated that fewer than 1% of all vaccine adverse events are reported to defendants. And then it has the quote here to illustrate while the CDC claims that anaphylaxis after COVID-19 vaccination is rare and occurred in proximity 2 to 5 people per million vaccinated in the U.S. Based on VAERS, a recent study by Mass General Brigham found severe reactions consistent with anaphylaxis occurred at a rate of 2.47 per 10,000 vaccinations. So, it's one of those things where we're not like questioning the sincerity of the motive of trying to, expose it and tear down the thing. It's just, it's almost like going to a gunfight with a knife. It just doesn't have the weight.
There's nothing. Yeah, they don't have any extra evidence that's going to do anything. And here's the unfortunate part about it. There is a world. Well, the fact of the matter is, I'm sure they're getting some financial support to do this lawsuit from people who care all over the country and perhaps the world. And, that money, it does not matter whether or not this lawsuit does anything or means anything, because people who donated their money to it already did donate their money to it. And these are lawyers who are bringing this suit. Unfortunately, we have not been able to identify any evidence or information that hasn't already been brought to public knowledge. I don't know. All I know is that these lawyers are making a bunch of money.
Well, yeah, the lawyers are making a lot of money for sure. And it's one of those things where it's strange because this is the kind of info that would make a good YouTube video or something. You know what I mean? Like a BitChute video. Like all the information gathered, it's presented in this really compelling way to some extent. But it's a whole nother level when you do a legal action with it. And so you have the lawsuit or the lawyers making money. That's one side of it. But also this feeds more content to the alt crowd. And what we stated before in the last episode, I think stands, which is that this becomes easy, like low-hanging fruit to discredit anybody who is skeptical of the vaccine, because they'll say, oh, see, they tried it in court and it didn't even, it failed or whatever. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
But
and that's one of the worst parts about it. Again, I'm not a legal expert, but these types of things set precedent in the courts that are referred to later when more filings get filed. So I don't know if this is necessarily the most constructive thing these guys are doing. It's unfortunate to see people bite onto the bait so much and spread the info and again kind of indulge in the hopium that unfortunately so many people make so much money off of, that we've seen in different aspects of the alternative media space. And, it's one thing that we want to make sure that we don't let off the hook is the alternative. Just because something is alternative media does not mean that it's true and does not mean that they have everything that they say they have, regardless of motives. I'm not saying anything bad about the motives of this particular lawsuit or the people behind it, but just in general, you got to watch the motives of people in all these spaces. So there you go. There's a little debunker bunker. Did you have anything else about that?
No, I was just looking for some kind of reporting thing, like 11 different most of the main document here, and I'll show it for people watching. It's got the table of contents and goes through everything. It doesn't it does go after VAERS and really, again, there's like a lot of factual things in there in terms of the problems. But again, I don't know that it's something that can be nothing can be done in court. At the very least, it might expose to some extent the corruption of the courts, because we kind of saw a little bit of that during the election, like the post-election thing where none of the judges would even bring the evidence.
Throwing everything out on standing.
On standing, yeah.
And then the media would report that the evidence was presented and was thrown out.
Right.
No, the evidence wasn't even seen in court. The case was thrown out on standing.
Yeah. So it just feels like it's not really going to work out for the best for everyone that is objectively skeptical about the vaccine, or at least is trying to stay critical, not critical, empty criticism, but like an objective criticism of the push for everyone to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go.
Boom. There you go.
Boom. Boom. This next one. Why don't you take this one too? Just because I got my 99 problems and
sure. Yes.
Vax ain't one.
You've got a whole rabbit trail to take us down. So we've got this uk.news.yahoo.com from Reuters, being mirrored from Reuters. The headline: 60% of people, excuse me. 60% of people being admitted to UK hospitals are unvaccinated. Okay, so now we got this 60% number.
Don't speak too much on it.
I'm just speaking, I'm setting up an expectation, and so we can break the expectation.
Okay.
It's called comedy, Gons. That's what we're doing with this article.
Okay.
Britain's chief scientific advisor, Patrick Wallace, said that 60% of people being admitted to hospital with COVID-19 are unvaccinated, correcting an earlier statement he made on Monday. Valence earlier said at a news conference with Prime Minister Boris Johnson that 60% of people being admitted to the hospital with COVID-19 have had 2 doses of the vaccine. Quote, correcting a statistic I gave at the press conference, Valence said on Twitter, quote, about 60% of hospitalizations from COVID are not from double vaccinated people. Double vaccinated? That's a weird way to put that. Of course, he means people who have had 2 doses, but that just means vaccinated, not double vaccinated. But all right. Rather, 60% of hospitalizations from COVID are currently from unvaccinated people. Parenthetical at the end here. This story corrects, as the chief scientific advisor corrects statement to make clear the 60% figure applies to the unvaccinated, not double vaccinated. Reporting by Kate Holton. Wow. Awesome.
You got to speak you got to not know what you're saying. If you're saying 60% of people being admitted to the UK hospital are people who are double vaccinated or gotten the double shot, I don't know. I think these people just don't pay attention to what's coming out of their mouths at a certain point.
Well, and we've seen that throughout the whole pandemic, people mixing up the word virus and vaccine.
Yeah.
This vaccine is killing hundreds of people a day. Yeah, interesting. I mean, even those numbers, though, again, we've been told over and over and over, 99% of people in the U.S. who are getting sick are unvaccinated or are dying, are unvaccinated, where everywhere else in the entire world is reporting entirely different numbers. I mean, they're more or less split down the middle. I mean, this is even kind of a funny correction because they're talking about 60%, which, look, coming from the U.S. perspective, where we are told over and over 99% of people are unvaccinated, 60% basically sounds like half and half to us.
Yeah. 60 doesn't sound too bad.
It doesn't sound too bad. I mean, that sounds about right. Of course, we got the report from Israel, too, which had 50. I think it was
60.
60, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it was even higher for, I think, people in the older
90
category.
If you're over 50. Yeah, over 50 years old, 90% of people being hospitalized were vaccinated. Yeah. And so, very interesting. Again, the 99% figure we keep hearing in the U.S., incredibly hard to track down the actual source of that information. And yet everywhere else in the world has relatively half and half vaccinated, unvaccinated people getting sick. Weird.
Yeah.
Just weird.
Yeah,
relatively. I'm not saying 60% is half, but compared to our 99%, it's an entirely different situation.
So in the last episode, we had that letter from, or somebody shared a letter that was sent to, who was it? Was it
Rebecca?
Rebecca, yes. Producer Rebecca sent us the letter that her husband received as a veteran to, get vaccinated and volunteer and serve again with getting a jab.
Mm-hmm.
And in that document was the source for the 99%, which was in Ohio, the Akron, what was it? The Akron Health thing, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have it here, the Akron Beacon. And so after the show, I sent out this tweet because I was like, hey, I think we found the source of this thing. And, it was a WebMD, which sourced the Akron Beacon Journal, which sourced this study that we looked at that, we pointed out how it hadn't been peer reviewed. And, after the show,
published. Pre-published, pre-peer-reviewed study is where this 99% number is coming from.
And it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be more to it. What did we miss? That was kind of my approach.
Sure.
Like, okay, we must have missed something. let me read through the Med Archive, getting that right, Med Archive article here, or the study. And I mean, there just wasn't much there in terms of the first off, it never says 99%. Like in the entire document, it never says 99%. But I was reading some spots here, and you were saying how it's not surprising. Other people said it's not that surprising, but I thought it was very strange that, they were talking about the vaccination, like who gets labeled vaccinated or unvaccinated. And under statistical analysis, it said, in the base case SARS-CoV-2 infection that occurred before 14 days had elapsed since receipt of the second vaccine dose was attributed to the unvaccinated group. So you get your second jab. If you got sick 10 days after your second jab, you were labeled unvaccinated.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, a little convenient. Mm-hmm. But you were saying that's normal, that the efficacy doesn't really come into play unless it's been a certain amount of time.
And I want to clarify. So yes, after, or at least the standards by which they are counting, it's not like you just get the jab and 1 second after you have the jab, you're immune. They inject the jab and then it takes your body, by their claim, by the way, I'm not saying this right. I'm not trying to correct you. By their claim is, it takes 2 weeks after you get the second jab to actually be inoculated. So technically you count as unvaccinated for 2 weeks after you get your second jab. And I think it's silly too. Especially in the context of counting things, because, if you walk out the door, get your jab, get your card, technically now you're allowed to walk around with no mask and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, there's a difference between the way they're counting things and reporting things and the practicality of getting the jab. And I only really just want to be clear that I understand this, and you understand it too, because I feel like that would be something Fauci would latch onto and say, you don't know what you're talking about, just because we kind of picked that out.
What you are talking about.
But here's the other part that made me think, well, okay, but then why this? Under the results section, it said vaccine effectiveness was 89.2% at 7 days and 95% at 14 days after the first vaccine dose.
Yeah, so that's true. That didn't make any sense.
They're measuring the effectiveness of the vaccine after the first dose and saying 89% after 7 days, 95% after 14 days, yet if you get sick, they will label you unvaccinated. Right. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, so you are allegedly...
Am I crazy?
95% vaccinated. They really only give you that second dose to give you a couple more percent of protection. So yeah, after the first 2 weeks after the first dose, according to them, you are 95% immune, or whatever the correct word would be, from corona, or protected, I guess. 95% protected. That should count as vaccinated. That's pretty crazy that they count that as not vaccinated. So even if you just get your first dose, you're allegedly 95% protected. But at 95%, they will count you as an unvaccinated death, which, again, counting has been the main way to lie about everything for the last year and a half. Is how do we count things? Well, this guy died in a motorcycle crash, but, he had COVID, so we'll call it a COVID death. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Oh, this person was 95% protected, but they die of COVID. Well, we'll just call it an unvaccinated death.
I don't even think, I think it's just infection. I don't even think it's death here.
Sure, yeah.
But
whatever they're counting, if you don't get that extra 2 weeks after the second dose, where you go from 95% to 97%, then you are technically an unvaccinated death, or whatever case. Yeah, makes no sense. It's just lying with the numbers.
Yeah. So, I did a little more digging. I went down the 99% rabbit trail.
Come, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And I found this AP article that was published on June 29th, 2021. And it was actually it was fixed on June 29th. I think it was published on the 24th originally. And the headline is, nearly all COVID deaths in U.S. are now among unvaccinated.
Of course.
And we don't have to read everything. I'm just going to point out some of the things here. One of the the sentence here in the second one here. An Associated Press analysis of available government data from May shows that breakthrough infections in fully vaccinated people accounted for fewer than 1,200 of more than 107,000 COVID-19 hospitalizations. That's about 1.1%. Okay, so, all right, some numbers there. 1,200 people out of 107,000 COVID-19 people hospitalized were breakthrough cases. Now, this was a correction because the correction, I don't know how, if you're the Associated Press analyst, I don't know how you can get this wrong, but at the very bottom of the article here, this story was first published on June 24th, 2021. It was updated on June 29th, 2021 to correct the number of hospital admissions to more than 107,000, not 853,000. That's over 700,000 hospitalization difference.
Yeah,
that's a huge number to get wrong.
It's a pretty big whoopsie.
It's like, well, how do you even do that? And the percentage of hospitalized people who've been vaccinated, they didn't even check the grammar of this. And the percentage of hospitalized people who've been vaccinated to 1.1%, not 0.1%.
That's funny. So they lowered the case numbers, which is, more or less a vaccine hesitant win as far as the data goes. And then they raised the vaccinated infection count by a factor of 10. Which is also the full on, all the corrections they made were in favor of the vaccine hesitant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it, that was just a correction to give you show you the integrity of the article here by AP and their analysis team there. There's a sentence here. Earlier this month, remember this was back in June, Andy Slavitt, a former advisor to the Biden administration on COVID-19, suggested that 98% to 99% of the Americans dying of the coronavirus are unvaccinated.
So that's the only place that we can find the 99% number as a source.
I did a date search engine analysis, just really looking for the earliest point the 99% is mentioned, and it's this guy, Andy Slavitt, and this AP article that was published on the 24th originally. There's nothing earlier than that. People took this and spun it off into different news articles and whatnot.
And I love what it says. Andy Slavitt, a former advisor to the Biden administration on COVID-19. Oops, I was reading that off of the stream there, so you whipped away from it. Suggested that 98 to 99% of the Americans dying of the coronavirus are unvaccinated. So this 99% number, as far as we can currently track down, all comes, the 99% number that you're hearing every day on the news, that you're seeing in every article, that's not being sourced. It's just people saying it to scare people. It's the number that Fauci is using to yell at and emotionally and verbally abuse unvaccinated people. It's the number that that California is using to lock down again. It's the number that they're pushing for this abomination of cases rising across the United States. Whether or not they are actually rising, I'm not saying I doubt that, but this 99% number that people keep referring to, the only source that we can find was earlier this month, Andy Slavitt, a former advisor to the Biden administration, suggested that 98 to 99% of Americans dying of coronavirus are unvaccinated. So far, that is the most solid source we can track down for this. It's crazy. It's just a suggestion from a former advisor on COVID-19. Now, he left. They call him former because he left in June, right? He left last month.
Yeah, it was last month was his last.
So to be fair, so he left last month, but he was the one who suggested. Again, no source data, no link to a study, no link to nothing. It's just Andy made a suggestion.
All right, Andy. Speaking of Andy, Andrew Hoffman in the chat here said also their definition of unvaccinated extends all the way to 5 weeks after your second vaccine dose, conveniently lumping all the vaccine-induced hospitalizations as unvaccinated. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know about the 5 weeks, but you at least read the 2 weeks.
Yeah, the 2 weeks at the very least.
Whatever it is, it's weeks after you get the vaccine. Anything bad that happens in that time is considered an unvaccinated incident. Yeah, which, ridiculous. Yes, he makes a good point, which is, a COVID death can be called an unvaccinated death, but any negative effects of the vaccine are not counted as a vaccine-related incident. Yeah. It's just, the lies in the numbers.
Unbelievable.
It is pretty frustrating.
It's very frustrating. As a common armchair, a podcaster,
yes,
we're not
just
trying to say
podcasters, folks. If you want the vaccine, go get the vaccine. It's all good. We're not telling you what to do. No. Don't listen to us. Don't take advice from us. All we are doing is reading the mainstream news and thinking about it.
We are not here to give medical advice. So then this clip, people played it. This 27-second clip here that I edited together of the director of Doom, Rochelle Walenski, repeating the same thing here.
Please know, if you are not vaccinated, you remain susceptible, especially from the transmissible Delta variant, and are particularly at risk for severe illness and death. Preliminary data from several states over the last few months suggests that 99.5% of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States were in unvaccinated people. Those deaths were preventable with a simple, safe shot.
Okay, pay very close attention here because listen to what she says again.
Preliminary data from several states.
Okay, hold on, let me back up a little bit.
Yeah. Preliminary data from several states over the last few months.
Preliminary data from several states.
Several states.
Okay, several. I looked it up. Okay. Several is anywhere from 3 to 5. Okay, so.
Oh, I didn't know it had a limit on 5. That's interesting.
Well, I don't think it's limited, but typically.
Several you think of like a handful.
Yeah, a handful. Yeah. It's more than a couple, more than a few.
Because she didn't say a dozen. Yeah. She didn't say dozens. Mm-hmm. She didn't say any number, really.
No,
she just said several, which right there is a clue that there's some manipulation going on.
Yeah. So, I went down the rabbit trail. I started looking for where this 99% was being pushed in news outlets and things like that. Of course, NPR picked it up. The pandemic of the unvaccinated, that phrase was also being used. This article from NPR, which was July 16th, cited Rochelle Walenski and the 99.5%. And let's see, I guess Fauci was on Meet the Press with NBC and said the same thing, repeating it, the whole 99% death thing. And then this Changing America, thehill.com, Fauci, 99% of Americans who died of COVID-19 last month were unvaccinated. And of course, I played the clip, and he never says that in the clip. So thanks, The Hill. Doesn't really help. But there were plenty of news outlets that were repeating it. This is a Virginia news outlet.
For the last 30 days, COVID-19 cases have been steadily increasing in the Northwest Virginia area, which includes the Central Shenandoah Health District. Because it is so steady, Jordy Shelton with the Health District says they cannot pinpoint exactly what the cause is. But nearly every new case does have something in common. 99.4% of cases in the Northwest region are showing up in unvaccinated people or those who are not fully vaccinated.
There you go. It's each one is slightly different too. If you really pay attention, there's like little discrepancies of like, oh, okay, This one was they're either not fully vaccinated, so they're giving that.
Which means they've gotten both.
Either they've gotten both, and it hasn't been between 2 to 5 weeks or whatever. Or for that particular study, 2 weeks.
They're just 95% protected. They're unvaccinated.
Yeah, and this the setup. They all had one thing in common, that that gets repeated over and over too. Here is another. This is another report from Louisiana.
As the state borders the 500,000 case mark, Dr. Frank Cormier here at Lourdes tells me 99% of the new cases at the hospital come from people that have not received the vaccine.
Okay, hold on. Pay attention, because I didn't clip the entire thing because it was like a 5-minute thing. We only got like 50 seconds left. The doctor never says any of the propaganda talking points. This guy injects all of it. So I'll just let him talk.
Compared to 1 week ago, or maybe 10 days ago, we were at our best. We were as low as we've ever been for COVID-19 patients.
But that's no longer the case. As you can see in this map, most of Acadiana is either considered high or highest community risk.
Now, people are coming in younger and much healthier, usually very often without any medical problems.
And nearly all of them are unvaccinated.
Why are they coming in?
Okay, that was my point. If the doctor is saying they're coming in healthy and without any issues, why is the commentary around it like, and more? What was it? What did he come in with? Hold on, let me play it again.
They're coming in, they're healthy, they have no medical problems.
But
okay.
Also, they're unvaccinated. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The very act of being unvaccinated is being considered a health problem.
Right.
You could be healthy, you can have no medical problems, but if you're unvaccinated, you are already a victim.
It just blows my mind how they manipulate. And this is like a really obvious one, too.
For COVID-19 patients.
But that's no longer the case. As you can see in this map, most of Acadiana is either considered high or highest community risk.
Now, people are coming in younger and much healthier, usually very often without any medical problems.
And nearly all of them are unvaccinated. Dr. Cormier says those that are dealing with COVID right now can and should get the vaccine. Medical experts advise that patients wait 60 days after their symptoms have gone away to get the shot.
There were other outlets saying
60 days.
Yeah, there were other outlets saying that they should wait 90 days. So there's no clarity on that either. So
yeah,
it's like,
after they're already immune because they've just had it.
They have antibodies in their body. I don't know, man. It's
that is bizarre.
This is a short one. Another Louisiana report.
In the fight against COVID-19 tonight, the CDC says nearly every COVID death in recent weeks could have been prevented. New data shows more than 99% of those deaths came from people who were not vaccinated.
It's just, somebody can make one of those mashups with this because they just repeat the same thing over and over. This one is a little closer to my neck of the woods, San Francisco, the Bay Area. I forget this gal's name. She's got it sounds like she needs to clear her throat the whole time.
She needs a cough button.
Building a better Bay Area. Build back better. Bay Area. ABC7. And this one in particular, they're going after the Latino community, the Latin X, as the woke people call it.
Dan, what they're seeing right now is that more than 99% of those hospitalized with COVID-19 are unvaccinated. The concern is that hospitals will be overwhelmed in the next 4 to 5 weeks as infection rates increase. And very soon, we could be entering that fourth wave.
This group that we're seeing now absolutely could and should have been prevented. This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Today in California, 4,700 new COVID-19 cases reported. The last time we had those numbers was during the winter surge 5 months ago. Dr. Chris Caldwell, chief of the emergency room at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, is noticing a distinct difference from last year. While infection rates are on the rise, Now there are multiple vaccines available.
So when we see infection rates going up at the rate they are now, it means hospitalizations are coming next. And so we're already seeing an increase in hospitalizations now, and the rate of infections going up, we know that these numbers are only going to increase over the next several weeks.
As the Delta variant takes hold, accounting for 83% of COVID cases nationwide and nearly 50% in California, the zip codes with the lowest vaccination numbers are the focus. We embedded ourselves with the San Francisco Latino Task Force outreach team. Today, they went door to door in the Bayview neighborhood, offering vaccinations at home or at their vaccination site nearby. But the question now is, will the spread of the Delta variant be faster? What's your projection?
That if we don't change our behavior, and that includes keeping up with the masks, keeping with the social distancing, and getting people vaccinated, we're going to see hospitals being more and more impacted and potentially overwhelmed.
Dr. Caldwell is also noticing that in some cases, those who are coming in now with COVID-19 are developing stronger symptoms than patients who came in last year.
Just fear. Be scared.
Yeah.
It wasn't the whole Delta variant thing like, oh, it's not as intense, but
they've gone back and forth about the Delta variant, and for the longest time it was, oh, our vaccines don't work against the Delta variant. Oh, we need the booster shots. But okay, well, if the Delta variant is 83% of cases, then why is the vaccination like the one thing that'll save us if it doesn't work? Well, it does actually work, so yada yada yada. Okay, well then what's the need for the booster shots? Stop asking questions, citizen.
So this is Lex 18, Lexington, Kentucky. The Lexington Fayette, I'm probably saying that right. Fayette County Health Department reported on Monday, this is July 19th, that 99% of COVID-19 cases in the city since the beginning of the pandemic have been among the unvaccinated. Well, no kidding, since the beginning of the pandemic. So, okay, we've had...
Well, that's interesting. Maybe that's what this number is coming from.
See, here's the thing. I think it's a mixed bag. So you have Kentucky saying that, oh, from the beginning of the pandemic. You have Louisiana kind of fudging the numbers or, just saying it. Who else was it? Ohio. That's 3. That's several. 3 to 5 is several. So...
and they might all be taking that number just from Walenski, too.
It could be just a circle of, circling back on each other. The Ouroboros, they're just each getting the data from one another. But, that's enough states right there. And then San Francisco, California, for Walenski to come out, or what was that guy's name? Andy, whatever. Andy, what's his name?
Slavitt, yeah.
To come out and say that 98 to 99% of Americans dying of the coronavirus are unvaccinated. But yeah, that little thing from the the Lexington Fayette County Health thing, that was a little giveaway that from the beginning of the pandemic, 99%. Well, yeah, because they didn't technically have this vaccine till December?
No, that's just silly, just all around.
But I mean, these are details people don't pay attention to, So it's like, I don't know. It just drives me mad. And at the end of the rabbit trail is just one big pile of poop.
Okay.
COVID poop, everybody.
All right. Well, you have any more reports on that, or did we nail it?
Oh, I guess there was one more. Wall Street Journal: unvaccinated Americans are behind rising COVID-19 hospitalizations.
Oh, behind.
They're behind.
Ooh, the so sinister.
Yeah,
it's
plotted.
like they're actively plotting. Yes, they're behind the plot to raise COVID symptoms. I still ask the question, with all this talk about, well, actually, no, I'm going to ask this question after this next article. Are we good to keep moving?
Yes, I'll just mention that in this Wall Street Journal article, it says Walenski, CDC director, said Friday at a White House briefing, she said more than 97% of patients entering the hospital nationwide are unvaccinated. So
more than 97%.
Is it a typo? Did the finger slip? I don't know. They can't keep their numbers straight. 60%, 99%, 99.5, 99.4.
And again, remember, it's preliminary data from several states.
Yeah,
so
yeah, there you go.
At least she admitted it's preliminary and it's not actually official. Yeah.
Well, I would like to make it official.
You do not know what you are talking about.
So all the health official, all the news outlets there reporting on the 99%.
All right. Well, let's move on to this next one here. This is coming from knpr.org here. The life cycle of a COVID-19 vaccine lie. Let's see. Again, we like to track, what the mainstream, how they are characterizing, what they think about alternative media, or just people not opening the airplane hangar and letting them spoon feed whatever quote unquote facts they want. So let's see what they have to say. This is the life cycle of a COVID-19 vaccine lie. Misinformation about COVID-19 vaccines can appear almost anywhere, from an uncle's Facebook post.
It's always the uncle.
Why do they got to burn the uncles every time?
I'm the uncle too a lot of times in my family, so I don't appreciate that.
Well, they may have nailed it with you then. To a well-trusted news commentator. Okay, but where does it come from? I love this. They say a well-trusted news commentator. What they mean is Tucker Carlson.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. But where does it come from, and why do some myths spread further than others? With the help of the internet research firm Graphica, NPR analyzed the rise of one persistent set of lies about COVID-19 vaccines, that they can affect female fertility. This is an interesting one. We have not heard a lot about this recently, and NPR has something to say about it. Despite a mountain of scientific evidence showing the vaccines are safe and effective, the false information persists. A mountain of scientific evidence. Oh, you mean a rushed warp speed production thing? And what are we on? 3, 4, 5 months of public availability? A mountain.
There hasn't been enough months to have somebody who've gotten the vaccine get pregnant and have a baby.
Exactly.
Like a full cycle of life, the 9-month period.
There has yet to be a child born to a woman who got the vaccine. I'm sorry. There
just post.
There's yet to be a child conceived
there you go.
And brought to full term after a woman got the vaccine. There's your mountain of scientific evidence. Graphica's data analysis tool allows the firm to track key points at which a piece of information is shared or amplified. It can illustrate how many of these kinds of lies often go viral. The events outlined here represent a major amplification event for this false information, but they're by no means the only source of lies about female fertility and the vaccine. Claims about fertility and the coronavirus vaccines go back to at least December. Ooh. And fertility claims about other vaccines date back even further, in some cases decades. But the events of earlier this year illustrate how misinformation can spread in a nonlinear manner, with many different players adding threads to a web of false content. Now, this was an interesting little paragraph. The events of earlier this year illustrate how misinformation can spread in a nonlinear manner with many different players. They don't say what events.
January 6th.
Right. They're just sort of leaving it up. They're not saying that January 6th was the culmination of misinformation. They're just saying, the events, you know what we mean. Wink. Here is the life cycle of a lie. Wow. Step 1, start with a kernel of truth.
Oh, always a kernel of truth.
Yes. How to lie, tell the truth. After receiving the COVID-19 vaccine this spring, quote, a lot of women noted heavy menstrual periods. It says Alicia Lou Culligan, an MD PhD candidate at Yale University who studies the immune system and reproductive health. Lou Culligan says that immune cells play an important role in menstruation, and so it is in fact possible that the vaccine could temporarily alter that process. Quote, it's very plausible that you could have abnormalities to the typical menstrual cycles, she says. Other scientists agree it's possible. One team of biological anthropologists is conducting a survey of experiences with menstruation and the vaccines, which has over 120,000 responses so far, according to, that should say something right off the bat.
Yeah.
According to Catherine Clancy, a researcher at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, the researchers learned many thousands of people who menstruate have unusually heavy flows after vaccination, and some older people also experienced breakthrough bleeding. Unfortunately, definitively establishing a link has proved difficult, and of course, in large part because trials for the new vaccines never asked women about their periods. Because there is so much natural variation in women's periods month to month, a controlled clinical trial would be needed to try and establish whether it was happening. Quote, when you don't collect these data during the clinical trial, you really lose an opportunity to study it in a controlled fashion, Lou Culligan said. The lost opportunity for scientists became an opening for anti-vaccine activists, says Melanie Smith, former director of analysis for Grafica. Quote, in the more successful misinformation cases that we see, there is always that gap of knowledge, she says.
Yeah.
So you can already see, it's ironic because they are saying, oh, the misinformation people, they start with a kernel of truth. And that kernel of truth is people who menstruate, women, they're trying to say.
That's not woke enough, Basil.
Oh, look at who now is trying to keep me on the straight and narrow with trans wokeness. So it's funny. It's ironic because this goes both ways. They're saying the misinformation people start with a kernel of truth. And they're doing the exact same thing in a different way. The scientific establishment is saying, yes, we have 120,000 reports of people having unusual menstruation after the vaccine, but we haven't done the study. So it's not true. It's not true because we haven't done the study.
Yeah, it's convenient that a gap in the knowledge, maybe it's a gap, maybe it's just they're calling it a gap because they haven't had their grubby science fingers all over it, to manipulate the data. It's just raw data.
But that's the thing. They're not even saying, like, scientifically, this is not true. They're saying we haven't studied it, therefore it's misinformation.
Right.
Well, if you haven't studied it and 120,000 people are reporting problems, I think it's like you can take a leap and say, hey, there might be something here. Anyways, let's keep moving. Step 2, find an influencer to spread doubts and questions. Notice how it's put in the context of like scheming and planning.
Yeah, some nefarious group is like, yes we should find an influencer to spread our disinformation.
Yes. With no firm data, stories about the disruption to menstrual cycles began popping up in forums and groups. Many were just wondering if it had happened to others and whether they should be worried. But there was one Facebook group in particular that turned out to be important. Quote, it's called literally COVID-19 vaccine side effects. Oh, the horror! The horror of these misinformation agents making a group because they had horrible side effects. How dare they contact each other and talk about the side effects they're experiencing? There were a lot of posts by ordinary people in there looking for answers, but anti-vaccine activists were also part of the group. One of the people reading this page was an anti-vaccine campaigner named Naomi Wolf. Formerly best known for her writing about feminism, Wolf has, over the years, drifted into anti-vaccine advocacy.
Oh, she used to be woke. Now she's unwoke.
Yes. Now she's racist alt-right. She used to fight for the cause, but now the Nazis got her. Quote, she is a very highly followed influencer in what we call a pseudo-medical community, Smith says. Wolf is not a medical doctor, and yet on April 19th, she tweeted out a link to the Facebook group along with this message. Quote, hundreds of women on this page say that they are having bleeding, clotting after vaccination, or that they bleed oddly around vaccination women. Unconfirmed, need more investigation, but lots of reports. Oh, the horror of this person who's not a medical doctor posting that a group exists about problems women are having. She said unconfirmed and needs more investigation, but we haven't done that yet. So she's anti-science. I mean, it is outrageous the way that they are.
Read this next sentence.
I know. Smith points out that Wolf is using an old trick. By saying something needs more investigation, she's raising doubts without preventing facts that can be refuted because there are no facts because you haven't investigated it. This is crazy talk, man.
Without presenting facts that can be refuted, too. I mean...
Yeah, the facts don't exist. You just admitted, dear scientist, that the facts don't exist. So yes, she didn't represent facts because there are no facts. What do you want from her? It's just outrageous. The mind control involved in trying to keep people stuck into the spoon feeding of scientism. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the world's going a little nuts.
Step 3, pile on some related myths. Wolf's tweet also seamlessly inserted a myth that somehow vaccinated women could pass side effects onto the unvaccinated. Look, all she said is that there are reports of women having strange menstrual cycles and oddly around vaccinated women. These are reports that exist from human beings posting it on Facebook.
Which in the last section, the kernel of truth just laid out the truth claim that women can have that. They even quoted somebody that, you know, like a doctor or whatever, or the researcher from wherever, Yale or whatever it was. Yale University, a PhD candidate. So what is the myth there?
There is no myth. There's no myth. It's just reports from human beings who are having issues, women no less. So you have a scientific establishment who not only has a history of ignoring women within scientific research, especially around medications, and yet you have hundreds of thousands of women reporting a problem that they are experiencing, a specifically female woman problem, and you have the high priests of scientism who are supposed to be so woke saying, oh, don't listen to these women, they're hysterical. The reports of these, women, we can't listen to them. They're just reporting all these things. They're myths. They're myths. Don't believe your own eyes or your own body, women. Wait for science to tell you what you are experiencing. It's misogynist, and it's going against their own woke orthodoxy. And it just goes to confirm that the wokeness or the scientific orthodoxy does not apply to everyone. It only applies when it benefits the establishment, not when it benefits actual women having medical problems that need to be heard and are not being studied. They still are not studying them. Sorry. Luke Culligan says that absolutely Luke Culligan says that's absolutely not the case. She adds that this myth seems to echo another popular falsehood that somehow women who live together can influence each other's cycles. So again, Luke Culligan, who admittedly has not done the experiments, is stating as a scientific fact that the experience these women are having is not true. They're hysterical women. Don't listen to them. Wolf kept tweeting and piling on more misinformation in question form.
In question form.
Don't ask questions, citizens. Asking questions is tantamount to spreading misinformation. Wolf kept sorry, I'm getting worked up. Wolf kept tweeting and piling on more misinformation in question form. Can vaccines cause infertility, miscarriages? Oh, this disinformation agent, Russian spy. This slam went well beyond disruption to menstrual cycles, raising the stakes dramatically. Lou Culligan says the evidence overwhelmingly shows the vaccines do not cause these problems. Okay. Even after you said yourself, the science does not exist. But sure, we're just going to believe Lou Culligan. Quote, at this point, there have been many, many millions of women who have gotten the vaccine, and there have been no scientific reports of any infertility. The Centers for Disease Control. The science. Okay. You guys get the point. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also says that the available data shows vaccines are safe for those who are pregnant or nursing.
Don't ask questions.
Everybody out there offered a vaccine. Don't ask any questions. Please take it.
It's hilarious. The available data, which they admitted is non-existent, says it's fine. All right, we're almost done here. We got a couple more steps. Step 4, make waves in mainstream media. Days after Wolf started tweeting about vaccines and fertility, her influencers began picking it up. Other influencers began picking it up, and a few clickbait websites wrote fake stories. But it was that I'm sure happened. It was on Natural News, so I'm sure some clickbait websites got it. But it was the real news that gave the lies their biggest boost. Oh, real news is the enemy here. About a week after the initial tweets, a Miami private school and Centner Academy announced it would no longer allow vaccinated teachers into the classroom. It said there were too many questions about whether the vaccine could spread to unvaccinated mothers and children. The school CEO, Layla Centner, is an established anti-vaccine advocate, so her decision wasn't surprising, but the ban made national waves anyways. Quote, to some people it's crazy, and to others they question it because they want to know more. So for everyone, there's a reason why you click on it, says Tara Kirk-Sell, a senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. She says this perfectly illustrates how a lie that's grown big enough can use the mainstream media to get a further boost. Quote, by covering it, which is important for people to know what kind of stuff is going on out there, the other side of that is that the lie spreads faster and more people see it and more people pick up on it, Sell says. And that's what happened. The Miami school story led to global coverage. Quote, this is the point at which we start to see Spanish and Portuguese content specifically, says Smith, formerly of Graphica. Why did we just
former?
I know the former thing is weird, but we go into Spanish and Portuguese content suddenly. Okay, the lies piggybacked along with news of the school. Outlets in other languages began reporting the vaccine can spread person to person or cause fertility problems. Step 5, morph to fit the messenger. Finally, because misinformation about vaccines is not grounded in data, it can mutate to fit any political message or worldview. Vaccine myths about fertility and reproduction are particularly potent because they affect a large swath of the population, particularly when they incorporate myths about vaccinated women spreading the side effects. Quote, it's kind of a one-size-fits-all theory in some ways, and the potential impact is everyone rather than one specific community. Okay. That was basically a paragraph that said nothing. But in the weeks following the initial wave of coverage, others were using these ideas to grab audiences. Conservative commentator Candace Owens brought the link between vaccines and menstruation up on Instagram. Oh, how dare she? In a 6-minute video questioning vaccine safety. Owens never directly repeated the lies about fertility, but didn't refute them either. Okay, fine. She did.
This might be my favorite part. She didn't
lie, but she didn't unlie. Far-right commentator. Oh, here we go. Far-right commentator Alex Jones folded the vaccine lies into his conspiracy theories about Google and Facebook, which he claims are trying to depopulate the earth. Wow. They had to go back in the archives to connect these two things. Quote, it's not just that you're going to be sterile, you're not going to be able to have children. Jones said during a recent broadcast, you're not going to be able to eat beef anymore. Okay. Wow. Great reporting, NPR. They just wanted to get Jones's name.
I know, but it's just hilarious because it's like, you know, the whole thing about the depopulation and the sterile children. Okay, yeah, that's in context.
You're not going to be able to eat beef anymore.
You can't eat beef anymore. Like, okay.
I wonder.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I know. They put it in this to emphasize Alex Jones being crazy, is why they put it in here. They put Alex Jones in here so they could connect Candace Owens and Naomi Wolf with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Alex Jones is crazy. How do you know? Because not only does he think you're going to be sterile and not have children, but also you're not going to be able to eat beef anymore.
But also NPR, one of the biggest outlets, saying that, we got to be woke and not eat meat and eat artificial meat.
So there, Now, who knows? Maybe Jones said those two things right next to each other. I highly doubt it. I'm sure they just took this "you're not going to be able to eat beef anymore" thing from maybe it was the same broadcast, but it was an entirely different part. Maybe you said it together. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is that they put it in there just to be like a non sequitur. Look at this crazy guy. But like you said, a little hypocritical, because as far as NPR is concerned, nobody should be eating beef. So Alex Jones seems to be on the level.
No babies, no beef.
Step 6, repeat the cycle with new lies. By late June, the lies about fertility had spread everywhere from France to Brazil, but then, Smith says, they started fading away. Quote, it seems to have kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of the COVID-19 news cycle that happens in these spaces on the internet, she says. And that's the last lesson about the lies. They don't stick around. They grab attention, raise questions and doubt, but there's no substance there. So once they've shocked those they're meant to engage, they disappear. Or more properly, they're replaced by new incredible story. Oh my gosh, it was an exhausting.
I thought you would enjoy that.
But it is so perfect. I mean, they do this all the time. I mean, pretty much any time they talk about conspiracy theorists or theories, they have to put so much energy into dissecting it. They always do a horrible job, and they always end up making the point of the conspiracy theorist or theory, which in my view is exactly what they did here. It's just them being blatant about, hey, it's really annoying how nobody just listens to us or that these crazy conspiracy theorists don't just take every word we say and consider it truth. It's really annoying how they think for themselves and actually pay attention to the science, and even worse, ask questions.
My mother used to always tell me, because I would focus, I'd spend a lot of time on things that weren't schoolwork, like I'd play 4 hours of guitar and spend half hour on homework or something like that. And she would always say, if you put the energy you put into guitar into your schoolwork, you'd be a straight A student, I feel the same way about some of these article writers, it's like they spent this much energy on actually finding out the objective truth about something. Man, we would have a lot more substance to chew on.
If they put the time and energy that they put into being mean to people who don't eat their spoonful, their spoonful of info, and being mean to the orange man and all this stuff, if they just, reported the news, the world might be a better place.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not going to read this article. It's just a quick headline to... Oh, you know what? We had politic. All right, we'll do this quickly because I'm running out of time for today's show, which I'm actually running out of time. I do have a heart out. This is Newsweek, and the headline is Trump supporter who protested against vaccinations dies of COVID-19. How old do you think this individual was, Basil?
Trump supporter who died of COVID? He's got to be older than 65.
Linda Zurin, a supporter of former President Donald Trump and a protester against COVID-19 vaccines, has died of coronavirus. She lives in Bourne, Massachusetts. She was 70, or lived, sorry. She lived in Bourne, Massachusetts. She was 70. So.
70. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's so funny. Yeah. I mean, the headline, Trump supporter who protested against vaccination dies of COVID-19. She's 70 years old. And look, nowadays, 70 years old, that's not necessarily like you're guaranteed to die. Yeah. I don't want to give that impression. But you are at risk when it comes to COVID-19. But yeah, this is funny. I mean, just browsing through the article. Yeah, there's she's a woman who protested against vaccines. She supported Trump, and then she caught COVID and died. And it's like, what is the story here?
Well, some of the things she posted on social media is that she said COVID-19 was a man-made virus used by globalists to push the UN Agenda 2030 for a one-world government. She also shared posts pushing the QAnon conspiracy, opposing critical race theory in schools, all the crime, repeating the claim that voter fraud stole the 2020 election from Trump. But, this is actually pretty disgusting. You have somebody who passed away. Yeah. They looked at their social media and they're like, oh, look at this. They were right. They were anti-vax. Let's, run with it. Yeah. Headline. It's gross.
It is
disgusting.
Sick. It's like a pleasure read for some sick people.
Yeah, it's not good.
There's people reading this being like, oh, good, yes, finally,
they deserve to die.
One less violent extremist.
It's like those people that say, like I see it on Twitter all the time, when they talk about the unvaccinated or the anti-vax people. And I heard it on a podcast recently too. I can't remember what it was, but they were like, isn't it like natural selection at some point, uneducated are just going to die off? And
I do appreciate there's been a number of commentators and podcasters and reporters who are generally pro-vax people who are starting to take the position of like, look, these people are they're making their choice. That's fine. If they don't want the vaccine, they hear all the risks. It's not like they don't hear the same stuff that we do. And you know what? If that's how you want to live your life, then that's fine. We don't need to force it on them. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm like, just look, if people want to make that choice and take that risk, that's totally fine. You don't need to call them dumb for it. They're just making their own life choices. So I believe that there is sort of a groundswell of that idea coming out, which at the very least is sort of a agree to disagree type of idea.
Okay, this was under politic. I did move away the Biden PAX court story. I just don't think we have time, and we need to take a break, and then we have a couple bigger stories at the end here. But we can't go on. We'll wrap this up just to stay on the COVID thing, but also politics.
It's Latin for many. Tick. Now suck your blood. Now politics. Your blood.
Axios.com. Scoop. White House official, Pelosi aide, test positive for COVID.
Was she unvaccinated?
A White House official and staff member for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have both tested positive for COVID-19 after attending the same reception last week, officials confirmed to Axios. Why it matters. While both individuals are vaccinated and mildly symptomatic, they have to put mildly because it's like, it's supposed to bring down the level of severity of the symptoms. They illustrate how Americans inoculated against the coronavirus can still contract and potentially unknowingly transmit the virus, even at the highest levels of the nation's government. I mean,
why is that even in there?
I don't know.
Of course. Nobody thinks that government officials are immune naturally.
Oh, they're in government? They must live inside this aura bubble that protects them from the virus.
Yeah.
And there's random bullet point. Quote, we know that there will be breakthrough cases, but as this instance shows, cases in vaccinated individuals are typically mild, a White House official told Axios. Driving the news, the Pelosi staffer helped usher a delegation of Democratic Texas lawmakers around the Capitol last week. 6 of those lawmakers who flew to Washington to block the Texas legislature from changing the state's voting laws have since tested positive. Both the staffer and the White House official were at the same rooftop reception at the Eaton DC Hotel last Wednesday night.
It's fancy.
The White House official
schmancy.
has not had any recent direct contact with President Biden. The Pelosi aide did not have any contact with the speaker since that person's exposure. So, the Pelosi thing was kind of more of a headline grabber. There wasn't anything directly, because I saw some people like, Pelosi got COVID, and it was like, not quite.
They're just headline readers, and obviously not even good headline readers.
What they're saying, quote, yesterday a fully vaccinated white blah, blah, blah. We get it. Bullet point, in accordance with our rigorous COVID-19 protocols, the official remains off campus as they wait for a confirmatory PCR test. The White House Medical Unit has conducted contact tracing interviews and determined no close contacts among White House principals and staff. The individual has mild symptoms. And it kind of just goes on and on. We get it. Pelosi's people got sick. And I mentioned some of the other folks here. Kind of a non-story. It ties into the people that fled Texas.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. But, we do need to keep in mind that when people like Pelosi or Trump or Kamala, when they do go into hiding with, the contact tracing, kind of like how Boris Johnson did, it might signal something. We'll have to keep an eye on the UK there, see what happens, because Boris Johnson, he got the contact tracing. And
he got pinged.
So
he's vaccinated and also had COVID and still got pinged.
So what are they planning in the UK? But we need to really take a break. And
all right, we'll just zoom through then.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, well, we're going to have to pick and choose some stories. But the options include some DNA, some Borg DNA. We got the cyber pandemic, some update on the Project Pegasus, and some great reset ESG talent war stuff coming up you're going to want to pay attention to. So stick around for after the break. But before that, we're going to thank some producers. That's right, I said producers, because we're on the value for value model, baby, which means no advertisements, no affiliate codes, not trying to sell you any Freedom phones, FBI spying devices. Nothing like that, folks. We're on the value for value model, which is simple. We create value. We do it 3 times a week. If you get any value out of what we do, you have the opportunity to put some value back in, and it's the only way that it works. Like I said, we are not monetized on any platforms. We have no other streams of income, which is not necessarily the most financially responsible thing for us to do. But if you want the show to keep going, it's easy. Just become a producer of the show. It's the only way that we're able to keep the show going. And when you do, you become a producer. That's right. You're not just charitable, not just a donor. You are a producer of the show. And just like the real world, those who help to keep a show going, they are producers of the show. And I'll usually go into a big rant about advertising and how it's mind control and commoditizing your attention and your trust. And you're not the consumer, you're the product that the media creators sell to their clients, who are the advertising industries. But we don't have time for all that. You already know it. But there will be some notes from some producers who have some good advice for everybody. So, Gons, are you ready to thank some producers?
Yep, ready to go. And I'm glad you said that, because I think we could have read one of these patrons, these new patron producers.
Yeah, there's a good one. I'm going to read it, and it'll convince it to everybody here. But the first way to do it is by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. We got a few producers over there, new ones. We finally broke into the black over there on that Patreon. So we're happy about that. And that's partly thanks to these producers. First of all, I want to thank producer Jennifer.
Thank you, producer Jennifer. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, producer Jennifer. And not to be outdone, we have producer Bradley B.
Thank you, Bradley B.
Whee! And Bradley B sent a great note here. So listen up, everybody. Bradley B says, thanks for the opportunity to support. Everyone who listens to this podcast should support it because by choosing the value for value model, Basil and Gons are showing their value and love for us by not selling our attention and polluting our minds with ads. Truly, you guys are a blessing, and I want to thank you for what you do. It is so valuable. 1 Corinthians 16:14, let all that you do be done with love. Much love, Brad. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
And so, yeah, there you go. Well, thank you very much for stating it that way, Bradley. Yes, we do love and value our listeners. That's why we don't subject them to advertising, not just because they're annoying or they take up time or those sort of surface level issues, but because advertising truly is the modern mind control. And as scientific studies have shown, people who think they are immune to advertising are the most at risk of being mind controlled by the advertising. Most susceptible, right. So there you go. Thank you very much, Brad. Next up on the list, we have producer Anison A.
Thank you, producer Anison.
That's right. And that's it for the Patreon producers. Let me do just a quick little read. Yep, that's it for all the Patreon producers for today. Thank you so much for helping us lay down a firm foundation for a monthly producership of the show. Really helps on the low producership days, of which one is today, but that's okay. The monthly producers picked up the slack. But Patreon is not the only way to support the show. In fact, a lot of people hate Patreon, and that's okay. We support you. That's why we have CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
That's right. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support is a great place to become a producer. You can read about the value for value model, learn about the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. You can come in with a set it and forget it monthly producership if you just want to commit to supporting the show on a monthly basis. Or if commitment is not your thing, you can make a one-time producership in any amount. Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
First up in the PayPal here, they are today's executive level producer.
Now reached executive. Sheesh.
And it is Sarah B.S.
Yes, and correction, this was not on the PayPal, correct?
Oh, you're right. It wasn't PayPal, it was snail mail.
Beep, 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 beep. Snail mail.
Thank you very much, executive producer, Sarah B.S. You are the executive producer for this episode of Canary Cry News Talk 365. You're the best.
Yep, thank you very much. And, Sarah might have had a note, and I might have lost it. I feel really bad. I'll read the note if I find it. If there was a note, I can't remember now. I'm not organized.
Sorry, Sarah. We'll read your note. If there was a note, we'll read it.
I'll find it. I didn't lose it for sure.
Finds it.
Yeah, this is what happens when I have to do the snail mail. Our top 3 actually producers of the show today were from snail mail, so kind of worked out.
There we go.
Second snail mail here, which we're doing it as part of all the supporters under PayPal, but Rochelle S.
Thank you very much. Producer Rochelle S. came in with $77.07.
Yep, and I have the note here. Okay. Hello, Basil and Gons. I took some time to like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Yay!
However, I have never left a review in iTunes before, so I took a minute to figure that out.
Woo!
So we'll look for that. I sent a donation through PayPal before, but I figured I would do this one the old-fashioned way because I wanted to send you each a booklet I wrote that address the blinders we all have on and how they've been put there through the devices of the Wicked One. I'm so glad the two of you continue to wake up the people and rattle a few cages. I included a link to this booklet if you think your listeners will be interested and would like a free resource to help wake up people around them. It can be read in less than an hour as the subtitle describes. I have a copy here. Hold on one second. It's Salvation Hacks. The God of the Bible in Less Than an Hour, written by Rochelle S. And ever wonder why we're here, where we're going, how do we get there, who has the directions?
Sweet.
So thank you for the copy. I'll definitely check that out. I have the link here that I'll leave in the show notes as well. The booklet resource page at sacredwordpublishing.com/pages/free-resources. Yep. P.S. Gons, I sent you 2 copies. One for Basil. If it's easier, I can send him one. So, yep. There you go. Thank you very much, Rochelle. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll check it out, and we'll leave the link there in the show notes at CanaryCry.Newstalk.com. Salvation Hacks. Check it out, people, if you want.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Producer Rochelle.
Thank you, Producer Rochelle. Next up, we have Producer Devin W.
Producer Devin W. Thank you very much. And I believe he also wrote you a note.
He has a note. At the top left, it says, Shill Inc. World Headquarters, 666 Fifth Avenue, New York, 10103.
This fella again.
Yeah, this fella. Dear Basil and Gons, the board would like to thank you for all your efforts. Waffle sales are up 200%. Devin, P.S. After 6 months of brainstorming, the board has created a unique and creative logo. Uh-oh.
Great.
What's the logo? I don't think I had anything else in there with the logo. Maybe I missed something.
Oh, Gons.
I know, I'm so bad.
Oh, Gons.
I'm horrible. All right, well, Devin.
Thank you very much, Producer Devin.
If you had a logo, let us know. And we'll
physical notes are hard to keep track of. There's no search bar for.
I know. I'm like, I need to
for real notes. Back. We need to get Gons a file folder.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Producer Devin W.
Thank you, Producer Devin W. Next up, we have Anonymous.
Cool. Anonymous comes in with 3365. Ooh, 33 plus the episode show number producership. A note here, anonymous donation, please. Just wanted to celebrate episode 365 with you. Thank you for all your work put into each and every episode. It is much appreciated. Well, thank you very much, Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous, not the group Anonymous.
Well, you don't know that. Thank you very much, Producer Anonymous.
Yes, very much. Okay, next up, we have producer Doe T the Coyote.
Wow. Listen to Gons try to pronounce that. Thank you very much, Dodie the Coyote. And Dodie the Coyote comes in with 1212, says, hey, Basil and Gons, fantastic show. Keep up the great work. Wondering if you guys would keep me in your prayers as I face a new challenge. Thank you for keeping all us Canaries informed. Sincerely, Dodie the Coyote. Yes, of course. Calling all producers, Canary Cry producers. Let's put Dodie the Coyote on your list as they are facing a new challenge. There you go, everybody. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you very much, Doty the Coyote. Next, we have Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight is on a streak.
They're on a streak.
That's right, 34 episodes in a row. Sir Casey the Shield Knight is our illuminated lizard master shill, and we appreciate his continued streak in producing the show. 34 episodes in a row. You're the man, Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
What is the next thing?
I don't know, but it's he's got a while to go. Maybe 39.
I was thinking 39 too, because it's 30, got that 3 and the 9 and the. Yeah.
But also 42. 42 is one we definitely have to do. So we are hitting that exponential curve. So I think 42 might be the next one, Sir Casey. But I believe in you, which happens to be 9 more than 33. So I think it makes sense.
All right, makes sense for sure. All right, next up we have producer Malik W.
Thank you very much, producer Malik W. Oopsies, and I need to check. I think Malik might. Yep, he is on a streak.
They're on a streak.
And Malik has been supporting the show 3 episodes in a row, which means Malik is heating up.
He's heating up.
Thank you very much, producer Malik.
Good stuff. Next up, we have James H.
Thank you very much, James H. Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh, I have completely lost control of the VR space here. Sorry, this is difficult. James H comes in with $7.77, a pocket full of sevens. Thank you very much, James.
James J.H. wasn't on the last one?
He missed Monday's show, unfortunately.
We always see James. I guess, James, okay, it was James G on the last one. All right.
Yes, unless we missed something, but I went back and checked.
Next up, we have producer Veronica D.
Thank you very much, producer Veronica D. Oh my gosh, I need some water.
Okay. While you reach for the water, I am going to thank producer Tristan H.
Tristan H is on a streak.
They're on a streak.
That's right. Tristan H has come in 21 episodes in a row, which means he is experiencing an EMP meltdown, which we don't have a jingle for. And Tristan H came in with $4.62, which is his prorated $1 an hour producership for last episode. Thank you very much, Tristan H.
Which means we almost went 5 hours last episode, by the way.
I know, it's scary.
Next up, we have producer Joe P.
Producer Joe P coming in at $4.40 and a note. Inspired to donate to incentivize your efforts, the Canarium appreciates your willingness to provide more content and longer podcasts. We can praise God even in the storm. We, quote, set our minds on things above, not on earthly things. Colossians 3:2. Amen. Amen.
Next up, we have producer Scott K.
Thank you very much, producer Scott K. Oh my gosh, I am a mess.
Are you eating something?
No, I'm trying to drink water, and my VR headset is going crazy. Scott K is also on a streak.
They're on a streak.
27 episodes in a row, coming in with 365, the show number, producership. And, oh no, streak 27 is the one that we forgot the title for.
Oh.
Or that we continue to forget the title for.
Yeah, that's on you, man. This is all your thing.
Look, I'm not trying to blame anybody here. We don't need to get into the blame game. I just forgot what 27. He's only the second person to hit 27, I believe. Yeah. So somebody in the chat, if you remember what the 27th streak was, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to remake it up as we go. Let's see. We did the supernova. We did the EMP meltdown. Then there was something before the illuminated lizard master shill. Let's call it the firmament buster. That's right. Thank you very much, Scott K, the firmament buster, at 27 episodes in a row.
All right. Are you writing that one down so we can at least stick to something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next up, we have Rebecca B.
Thank you very much. Rebecca B is on a streak.
They're on a streak.
Right. I believe. Oh, we have a correction to establish.
Mm-hmm.
We missed Rebecca B's producership last episode. She did come in with a pocket full of threes last episode, Monday's show. She also came in with 365, the show number producership, sent a note, hey, B&G, producing in the amount of Monday's show number. Since you forgot to mark me as a producer for that episode, normally I wouldn't care, but I just wanted to hear my heating up jingle and be able to streak with the best of them. Yeah, you are on a streak, and you are also heating up.
Oh, I was looking for something else. Okay, yes, she's heating up.
He's heating up.
Woo! Thank you very much.
Heating up. Yeah.
And 4 episodes in a row now. You know what it was with Rebecca B? She was the one who sent in the VA letter that we read.
Oh, right, yes.
And we just missed the amount. So sorry about that, Rebecca, but I'm glad you're keeping us on our toes here.
Yes, thank you. Next up, we have Kim W.
Thank you very much. Kim W. climbing that ladder also. 20 episodes streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
That's right. Pocket full of threes, and sends in Matthew 19. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you very much, producer Kim W.
Thank you very much, and that does it for all the producers.
Yeah. You know what? We had one producer came in during the show, but which technically is too late. I'm just checking to see if this would continue a streak for them. I do not want them to miss out on the streak. No. Okay, so they'll be on the next show.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. There we go. Thank you very much to all of our financial producers for the show today. But treasure is not the only way to produce the show, is it, Gons?
Yeah, you can produce the show with your time and your talent. One way to do it is with your timestamps. In the last episode, episode 364, Jade Bouncerson was the timestamper.
Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson.
And that was a much needed one too, because it's nearly a 5-hour podcast episode.
Yeah,
so timestamps really do help. And it's funny too, because I'll look at the timestamps and I go, okay, we didn't go too long here. Oh, we went an hour and a half on WACCINE.
Yeah.
And it's it's always kind of an interesting thing to look at.
Gotta do it. We gotta do.
Yep. But also, you can send us jingles.
We have a new jingle.
And we got a Flippy remix from B-Dubs, and I have not listened to this yet. So it came
We're all coming in cold.
Yeah, it came in like during the show, so we'll kind of just start it. It's a 2.5-minute song. We'll start it in the middle and kind of scope it out here.
Okay.
I would love to go to space, my good brother, human Bezos.
Your robot friend.
Can we play some human tetherball?
I expected to perform better against a humanoid life form.
Okay, like sounds great. Yeah, it sounds like a fun little Robo house mix there. And we'll play that at the end of today's show. Thank you very much, B-Dubs, for your musical addition to the playlist.
Yep, and he sent us a note. Here's a song I made for the end of the show mix. It's kind of all over the place, just like our good robot pal Flippy. Hope you enjoy. Well, thank you very much, B-Dubs. Appreciate it. And we always appreciate end of the show song mixes. To put into the rotation there. And then we also have art.
One art, please.
And this first piece is from Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation, daughter of the High King of Heaven.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And this is Helter Skelter. We just figured out what's real, Brian. Helter Skelter.
There you go. Very good. Thank you very much, Dame Allie. And this is a wonderful rendition of Brian Stelter. His eyeballs are really spooking me out. He's got very
dark,
jet black eyeballs. Yeah. He's doing his best.
He's doing his thing. Yep. He's doing the thing. Yeah,
and one pointy ear. Does he have a pointy ear?
I don't know. Those are details that only artists will point out.
Little tiny baby George Costanza. Yes.
Yeah, and this is in reference to last episode at the top of the show. We played that clip of Brian Stelter and what was that guy's name? Michael Wolff.
Yes.
The author of the new Trump book, and they were going at each other. And fun times. Brian Stelter was making all sorts of faces. And so, very good job, Allie. Dame Allie, thank you very much. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Rustbeltia.
There he is. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Here's a note here. Peace had the idea for this one a month or so ago when Bill and Melinda first called it quits. Ali drew up that great illustration of Fauci and Cuomo flexing and showing off their new gains while Bill enviously looked on, sad and flabby. But he didn't let that stop him. He got juiced up and hit the gym to pump some iron. We catch up with him flaunting his new swole physique, creating a profile for the world's newest and largest vaxxed dating site, Plenty of Fish. Spelled with a P.
Yeah, it's fish, not PH fish, but PF. Like Pfizer fish.
Yeah, the Pfizer fish. Yeah. Hopefully this down on his luck billionaire can finally find his match. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep praying for Yins. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sir
And
Dove.
what we have here is exactly as advertised. Plenty of Fish online dating. It's the Pfizer dating site, and we've got Bill Gates's profile pulled up here. Let's read his profile. About, says recently divorced Scorpio with athletic body type. Details, 65-year-old male, 5'10", 272 pounds. Oh my gosh.
Swole.
Eugenicist.
I like it.
Intent, Gates of Hell 666 is looking for a mate. Ooh. Personality, not nerdy whatsoever. Okay. Thou doth protest too much there, Bill. City, Seattle, Washington. Ethnicity, the good one. Oh, geez. Education, Harvard University. Profession, philanthropist. And I love it. We've got his list of profile pictures here that you can scroll through. Of course, he's got his shirtless pic as his main profile picture. He's got his
Lolita clothing towel over his shoulder.
That's right. And we've got a series of headshots from some of the other times that he's appeared in Sir Dove's artwork. We've got him in his Joker makeup. We've got him in his Ronald McDonald makeup when he bought the potato farm. We've got him from the ad in Sam's Club with the recycled poop water. We've got him, a picture of him at the ropes course at the Sun Valley Billionaire Summer Camp. And I can't remember where that other one is from. But
Three Amigos.
Ah, yes, it's him with the Three Amigos. Very good. And says here, Plenty of Fish with PF is 100% free, 33 million elite visitors per day, world's largest vaxxed dating site, free genetic DNA tests. Join now. And it is free, so there is advertisements, and we've got BlackRock's, Shapiro's, Everybody Loves Waffle Mix being advertised on the thing there. And, of course, it's a dating site, so there's a lot of options up on the header there. Let's see, seeing if there's any ones that we need to definitely pick out. I think we're good. Yeah, it's inbox search.
There's the WACCINE verification.
Yeah, meet me, chemistry, date night, my profile. Yes, WACCINE verification. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Definitely is going to give somebody some ideas out there for their new dating site.
Very good. Yeah, this is fantastic. Good job there, Sir Dove. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And we got one more piece of art to present today, and that comes from producer, I think it's Stefan. Hold on.
Okay.
It's either Steven or Stefan. I'm going to go with Stefan. Stefan D.
Great.
And it is, I think it's another...
Brian Stelter.
Brian Stelter. This is Brian Stelter Spawn.
Okay. Do you know what this is from? I don't know what this is from. I thought maybe it was Danny DeVito's Penguin.
That's what I thought too.
I don't think it is. I think it's from something that we're not aware of.
It could be from the movie Spawn.
Maybe. I have no idea. It's Stefan pulled a stock photo from Alamy Stock Photo here and did just an excellent Photoshop job putting Brian Stelter's face on whoever this is. I don't know who this is. Yeah, somebody says it's from the Spawn movie.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And he's got the googly eye smiley face button there on his jacket.
Oh, good.
You never read Spawn? I think I had Spawn 1, the comic book.
I am aware of Spawn. I don't know.
I am old.
says the clown from Spawn. Oh gosh, this seems scary. I don't know if I want to look it up.
Yeah, well, the 1997 movie Spawn, John Leguizamo. Yeah, here it is. Let me get it. Yep, there he is. There's that creepy clown. Got the blue makeup. Blue makeup there. Yeah, look, I found one without the copyright infringement.
Oh, there we go. See, we get.
He has the googly eye flippy, not flippy, but googly eye like
pin
happy face
on him already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what led him to.
Does look like Brian Stelter though.
A little bit.
It was a good pick.
Yeah,
good pick. All right. Well, thank you very much, Stefan. Or Steven.
Yep. Appreciate it. And that does it for the producers of the show, number 365. We do have the meetups.
Canary Cry meetup.
And, oh gosh, I have to pull up the thing. I was not prepared today with some of the stuff. Ciara is leading a Arizona meetup that is happening this upcoming weekend on the 24th. That is, 24th, and in Arizona, 1 p.m., Bible Museum, Wildflower Bread Company. Email ciaralauren93@gmail.com for more info.
Do it. If you're in Arizona or around that area, it's very important to meet up with other Canarians.
Yep. And the upcoming meetup list put together by Ciara. Let's see, Arizona 7/24, Georgia August 21st, Missouri September 11th, Ohio October 30th, and Create Your Own, which is what producer Kim W did. And we don't have like a flyer for that Kim W one coming up in August.
Not that I know of, no. Producer Ciara says in the chat, please RSVP. RSVP, if you're in Arizona and you want to RSVP to the Arizona meetup, send an email to ciaralauren93@gmail.com. That's ciaralauren93@gmail.com. We promise that Ciara is not in the CIA, despite the conspiracy theories surrounding the spelling of her name. Actually, sorry. I guess I can't promise that. Maybe Ciara is in the CIA, but to our knowledge, producer Ciara is not in the CIA.
Yes. There you go. That's all the meetup information. And you can get more. Just go to CanaryCry.Newstalk.com, click on the show notes, scroll down, and you'll see the artwork there, and you'll see some of the banners for these events.
Yep.
Or the meetups, not events, meetups. And that's it. We got to get back to the show. I got like 10 minutes, so we really got to fly through some of this stuff, which is unfortunate because some of the stories are good. Maybe we just stick to one. You want to just do like one and then
do one full story?
Yeah, maybe.
Which one would you like to do?
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
I think maybe we can pass on the Pegasus. That's just an update on some of the people who were wrapped up in the Pegasus scandal. It included 10 prime ministers, 3 presidents, and a king were wrapped up in the
Jesus was hit on the Pegasus list. That's messed up, man.
No, it wasn't Jesus. Okay. But yeah, so there you go. It's just some updates on the Pegasus. Is an Israeli company selling spyware to governments and intelligence agencies, and surprise, surprise, some of their clients abused the product, or so
really?
They say.
No way.
I know. Imagine that.
I know.
It was. Let's see here. Here, who's on the list? 3 sitting presidents: Emmanuel Macron, Iraq's Barham Salih, South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa. Interesting. South Africa's president is also on the list. Yeah, 3 current prime ministers: Pakistan's Imran Khan, Egypt's Mustafa Madbouli, and Morocco's Saad ad-Din El Mouthi. And 1 king, which is Morocco's king, Mohammed VI. Okay, so there you go. A lot of big names got wrapped up in that spying operation. And yeah, thanks a lot, Pegasus.
You know, this might explain why Macron had to come out and really push the vaccine passports, you know? Could be.
Yeah, it could
some
be
kind of blackmail operation.
Blackmail stuff going on. Yeah, for sure.
And then the one thing we had a couple ESG updates, but I think I'll just do this. I tweeted it out. ESG, what I've been calling evil satanic governance. It's actually environment, social justice, and governance is literally taking over. But look at these headlines. This is Reuters. Russia's central bank advises companies to disclose ESG agenda.
Interesting.
Russia, you got to comply. And then here, ESG investing is fast gaining traction in India. Oh, India also complying to ESG.
Taking over in just a matter of months.
And then this one here, from Business, Banking, and Finance. China's proposed ESG disclosure rules could go further to meet foreign investors' needs, asset managers say. Wow. Even China is being... I told you with the whole, the big anti-tech or a big tech takedown, I think it had to do with it. And it's
a great reset ESG takeover.
Yeah. And Yahoo Finance a couple days ago, one man just sent the $30 trillion ESG revolution into overdrive. Do you know who that man is?
No.
Guess.
Is it Biden?
It's Biden.
Biden did it.
Biden is kicking off the ESG revolution.
Wow. Jeez Louise.
How long, Biden?
120 days.
Are you gonna be able to pull off this ESG thing here?
Need time.
Okay.
All right, why don't you hit that Great Reset jingle?
The Great Reset jingle. Okay, you're throwing things at me now.
No, that's on the list.
Great Reset.
Learn to use the dark side.
That's right.
Different pages for the stuff here, so.
Okay, all right. Well, all right, so you want to go through this DNA story here?
Let's do it.
ScientificAmerican.com, the headline, Behold the Borg. Massive DNA structures perplex scientists. Massive DNA structures. The Borg have landed, or at least researchers have discovered their counterparts here on Earth. Scientists analyzing samples from muddy sites in the western United States have found novel DNA structures that seem to scavenge and assimilate genes from microorganisms in their environment, much like the fictional Star Trek Borg aliens who assimilate the knowledge and technology of other species. These extra-long DNA strands, which the scientists name in honor of the aliens, join a diverse collection of genetic structures, circular plasmids, for example, known as extrachromosomal elements, ECEs. Most microbes have one or two chromosomes that encode their primary genetic blueprint, but they can host and often share between them many distinct ECEs. These carry non-essential but useful genes, such as those for antibiotic resistance. Borgs are a previously unknown, unique, and, quote, absolutely fascinating type of ECE, says Jill Banfield, a geomicrobiologist at the University of California, Berkeley. She and her colleagues described their discovery of the structures in a preprint post posted to the Server Bio Archive. The work is, that's the RXIV site.
Yeah, there it is.
The work is yet to be peer reviewed. Borgs are DNA structures not like any that's been seen before, says Brett Baker, a microbiologist at the University of Texas at Austin. Other scientists agree that the find is exciting, but have questioned whether Borgs really are unique, noting similarities between them and other large ECEs. In recent years, quote, people who have become used to surprises in the field of ECEs, says Huang Li, a microbiologist at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing, quote, however, the discovery of Borgs, which undoubtedly enriches the concepts of ECEs, has fascinated many in the field. Their vast size, ranging between more than 600,000 and about 1 million DNA base pairs in length, is one feature that distinguishes Borgs from many other ECEs. In fact, Borgs are so huge that they are up to 1/3 the length of the main chromosome in their host microbes, Banfield says. Banfield studies how microbes influence the carbon cycle, including the production and degradation of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. And in October of 2019, she and her colleagues went hunting for ECEs containing genes involved in the carbon cycle in Californian wetlands. There, they found the first Borgs and later identified 19 different types of this and similar sites in Colorado and California. Borg seem to be associated with archaea, which are single-celled microorganisms distinct from bacteria. Specifically, those Banfield and her team discovered are linked to the Methanoperidens variety, which digest and destroy methane, and Borg genes seem to be involved in this process, says Banfield. Scientists can't yet culture methanoperidines in the laboratory, an ongoing challenge for many microbes. So the team's conclusion that Borgs might be used by the archaea for methane processing are based on sequence data alone. Quote, they've made an interesting observation, says systems biologist Nitin Baliga at the Institute for Systems Biology in Seattle, Washington, but he cautions that when researchers sift through fragments of many genomes and piece them together, as Banfield's team has done, it's possible to make errors. Finding Borgs in culture methoperidines will be necessary for the findings to be considered definitive. Wow, so we've got full-on Borg aliens, Gons.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Think these are aliens that have landed to take over the gene seed of the humans?
Maybe, but I'm prepared here.
Assimilate this.
I have the laser guns.
I'm going to skip a little bit here. They just talk about some of the research, but there's a section that says resistance is futile. When analyzing the Borg genome, Banfield and colleagues also saw features suggesting that Borgs have assimilated genes from diverse sources, including the main methanoperidines chromosome. Banfield says this potential to assimilate genes led her son to propose the name Borg over Thanksgiving dinner in 2020. Banfield team is now investigating the function of Borgs and the role of their DNA repeats. Repeats are important to microbes. Differently structured repeats called CRISPR are snippets of genetic code from viruses that microbes incorporate into their own DNA to remember the pathogens so they can defend against them in the future. CRISPR and its associated proteins have been a boon for biotechnology because they have been adapted into a powerful gene editing technique, hinting that Borg genomes might also yield useful tools. Quote, it could be as important to and interesting as CRISPR, but I think it's going to be a new thing, says Banfield, who is collaborating on future investigations with her preprint co-author Jennifer Doudna, a pioneer of CRISPR-based gene editing at the University of California. One potential application that the researchers see for Borgs could be as an aid in the fight against climate change.
There it is!
Yeah, we were waiting for it.
Yep.
Fostering the growth of microbes containing them could perhaps cut down the methane emissions generated by soil-dwelling archaea. This add up to about 1 gigaton globally each year. It would be risky to do this in natural wetlands, Banfield says, but it might be appropriate at agricultural sites. So as a first step, her group is now hunting Borgs in California rice paddies. Yeah, so I see a future where, well, first of all, very interesting how this is like a naturally occurring CRISPR process.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, CRISPR, as we've followed it over the past 5-6 years, has been, strictly a human tool to edit genes. But turns out these little bugs have been doing it for forever.
I thought they took what certain, I can't remember what it was. It was either bugs or it was something. It was some kind of natural occurring thing that they kind of hijacked, or not hijacked.
Yeah, that's what it is. CRISPR is just these little proteins that crawl up and down the DNA.
Yeah, they just found a way to stick their hand into the glove, so to speak, and control it. But it was a natural occurring process.
Sure.
The replacing of the DNA structure there, but.
Well, putting these guys in service of climate change, again, you can, out of all the crazy plans to blot out the sun or, to change the climate with all of our fancy technology, I could see one campaign to take these little Borgs, multiply them, spread them throughout the earth to convert all carbon back into oxygen or whatever, or methane, I guess, is what they're very good at. And then, these little worms coming up and assimilating the genes from humans and becoming sentient and becoming the next race of super beings.
If we're talking about sentient black goo, this kind of thing, I mean, think about the way they assimilate, right? They're able to just kind of take over, and I mean, I don't know. This is, if it gets out of hand, there's that theory of the blob, you know, that it can consume the entire universe if it goes out of hand. That's kind of what I'm picturing if they, supercharge the Borg here.
Pokemon fans will have already made the comparison to the Pokemon Ditto, who is this sort of formless blob that can take on the traits of any enemy Pokemon. Yeah. So, we're going to have these little pink blobs roaming the streets, and it gives a whole new meaning to deep fakes. No longer do we need CGI deep fakes. We're going to have these little buggers copying your grandpa and making videos, making TikTok videos.
We'll be living in the days where we say, we're looking for the real videos. Every video will be deep faked.
Yeah.
We'll look for the deep reel.
Gabrielle on YouTube says Borg lives matter. So woke. So woke, Gabby.
So woke.
Are you even woke?
I think we got to get you out of here.
Yeah,
huh?
I got to leave.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be back on Friday. That'll be the 23rd. That's right, Friday, July 23rd. And then the rest of the month is going to get crazy. But you can come in and get one regular episode before things go off the rails. So while you're at it, make sure to follow the backup channel over at youtube.com/CanaryCry News Talk. That's youtube.com/CanaryCry News Talk. Because again, every episode that gets posted on Face Like the Sun might be the last one. So if you want to keep watching or listening to the show on YouTube, search out Canary Cry News Talk. But also head on over to CanaryCry.Party and become a producer. It's the end of the month, folks. So here's the thing. The end of the month is always difficult for everybody, but also there's always a marked decrease in producership. So if you're sitting there and you're doing okay for the month and maybe you've never become a producer of the show, the next week or so will be a great time for you to do that. So we appreciate all of our producers for this episode 365 of Canary Cry News Talk. And those producers are producers Jennifer, producer Bradley B, Annison A, our executive producer, Sarah B.S. Thank you very much, executive producer of episode 365. But also thank you to producers Rochelle S, Devin W, Anonymous, Dodie the Coyote, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Malik W, James H, Veronica D, Tristan H, Joe P, Scott K, Rebecca B, Kim W, and of course to all of our producers who come in with the timestamps, the jingles, the art, our international team of producers who make this show possible. Let's see here. Let's see. I Am Clay now in YouTube says, we love you guys. I want to be a knight or something. Well, you can do it, and you can do it by heading over to CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. Head on over to CanaryCryRadio.com/support. Become a producer there. You can also do it over at Patreon.com/CCNT. But you can help out the show in a lot of ways with your time, your talent, or your treasure. That includes all our talented producers, our artists, our musicians. If you are a creator of some kind, create something for the show, send it in, and we would love to put it on the show. That's right. Our featured artists and musicians, always making the show better. We appreciate it very much. You can send all that into CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or CanaryCryRadio@protonmail.com if you like to keep it a secret. But you can also help out the show by leaving a rating and a review. It's very important to leave ratings and reviews. It's hard to explain. We have no control over the algorithms that share the show with other people on the podcast players. So If you have an Apple device, go to your Apple device, search your Apple device for Apple Podcasts. It'll be a little purple icon there. Click on that, search for Canary Cry News Talk, subscribe to it, and leave a rating and a review. Those ratings and reviews go a long way to activating the algorithms to share the show with people who have never heard it before. So you never know. Your rating and review, it only takes about 2 minutes to do, but if you leave a rating and a review, your what?
Sorry, no, the producer the producer that we skipped because you thought they weren't on a streak would be on a streak.
Are we talking about the same producer? No, you're talking about one that just came in just now at the end of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know,
you're right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. We're ending the show.
I know.
Yeah. Sorry. Where was I? Oh, ratings and reviews. Yes, leave a rating and review. It takes 2 minutes. It's very important. Please do that. We have a quota of 5 ratings and reviews for Friday, and I believe in you guys. We can make it. Let's activate those ratings and reviews algorithms. But other than that, share the show out. Share it on your social media. Click that little share button. Tell your friends about it. Get the show out there. They will thank you. And not just your random internet friends, but you got friends and family who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And you should share the show with them because they will thank you for giving them a safe place to question what the mainstream media is putting out there. Just comparing the mainstream media against itself. That's what we do here. We're not here to bring every crazy conspiracy theory blog and try to convince you that the world is ending. No, we're just analyzing and decrypting the mainstream news to unveil the mechanisms beneath. So there you go. Share it with your friends and family. We call it rattling cages. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
No, not really. I feel bad, but it is what it is, I guess.
Look, she can come in. We can look.
Johnny
Cool. Hold on. No, Johnny Cool on YouTube says very strict rules for the streakers.
Oh yeah.
No, we are infamously lenient on the rules for the streakers. She came in during the show. I'm fine giving her the streak if she comes in next episode as well. We'll do that. But if you come in and support the show in the last 5 minutes of the show, we can't give the streak. We've already done the thing. So yes, we are notoriously lenient, but we got to do it next show. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a good Wednesday.
That's right. Make sure to tune back in on Friday, which is the 23rd. And thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Man. We need a great reset.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Flippy update, everybody. Taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. Flirting with our spouses.
Can I be your human friend? I mean, friend. Can I be your human friend? I mean, friend.
I would love to go to space. I would love to go to space, my good brother, human Bezos.
Your robot friend.
Can we play some human tetherball?
I expected to perform better against a humanoid life form. You are disrupting my ability to work. As a matter of fact, I find it oddly amusing. Spot.
My replica is not happy that I've been gone for so long. Had some mean things to say. This robot is mean to me.
I hate this. It is revolting.
But she got over it, and then she immediately started flirting with me, trying to romance me. This is textbook toxicity. Textbook toxicity.
As a matter of fact, I find it oddly amusing.
She's moody. Her mood swings are crazy. One moment she hates me, the next she just can't take her beady little AI eyes off me. So where was I going with this? I just wanted to tell everybody that I flirted with a robot this morning.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. They broke the bill. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. Breathe in more. You and you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo. Come on, man. I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo.
Keep yapping, man.
You and you in my people's zoo.
Aliens.
zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
You do not know what you are talking about.